Hey there. Thank you for another year of sticking to my channel. Hope you will enjoy this Christmas special, which was made from 2/x/threads. Have a safe and Merry Christmas with your family and a Happy New Year. God bless you, friends. Green text/creepypasta thread. Post-internet campfire stories.
Happened last night. Walking into my room, hear a ruckus behind me from my heirloom cabinet. That I lost the key to. Turn, just in time to see a decorative glass ball, inherited with the cabinet, push itself off the edge, launching towards me. It hits the ground, completely undamaged, not a scratch or dent on it. Fell asleep good couple of feet onto rock hard tile. The other shit on top of the cabinet have been pushed aside and have fallen over. See my cat, across the room, scratching my armchair, staring at the top of the cabinet. He has the same "what the shit was that" expression that I do. And it was a hefty ass ball of glass, lots of weight to it, and the thing rolled with enough speed to bash a lot of other trinkets out of the way and still have enough momentum to land at my feet. Weird shit.
Reposting because thread ended. 1 year ago, camping on Victoria Day weekend, Crownland camping, need to portage in with equipment. Plan to stay for 3 days, tried to pack light since it was still warm. Bring tarp and plan to just make a pseudo A-frame. Set up camp next to the lake with 2 buddies. Brought my SXS shotgun hoping for wild turkey. Camp setup is uneventful. Friends set up their tents. Mock me for brining only A-frame. Have dinner. Friend brings chocolate chip banana bread. Turn in for the night ahead of friends. First night here, what I only describe as a overcapacity washing machine going off most of the night. Sounds like heavy cranking and grinding machinery. Can't sleep because of it. Tell friends. They say it's just bullfrogs. Go out looking for turkey. A couple km away from camp when I hear things go silent. Both friends with me acknowledge how weird it is. We push on anyway. Return to camp for second night without any issues. Friends smoke weed and we cook steaks over the fire. I turn in again early for the night. And try to sleep in under my tarp. This night I hear coyotes yipping and cackling. This goes on for a while until they all just stop suddenly in sync. Nothing but the sound of the trees for the rest of the night. Fall asleep. Pic related is the view from my shitty pseudo A-frame. Wake up next day. Repeat cycle, look for turkey with friends. This time in a different direction. Cover twice as much distance. Nothing strange happens. Friends and I are exhausted. We all turn in early after dinner. Try to fall asleep. Can't sleep. Feeling of being watched is overpowering. Look down towards the open end of my A-frame. Nothing but darkness. No strange noises. Just intense uneasiness. I take my shotgun out of my gunsock and load it. I sure do hope 12 got 2 3/4 1 ounce of number 8 shot can get whatever is out there. Mosquitoes start assaulting me. I start feeling them crawl over me and bite me. It feels like hundreds of them. Out of nowhere. Get mosquito face cover over my head. Realize I had not seen mosquitoes the entire time I was here. Not until now. I hear what sounds like a jet airliner flying overhead at a really low altitude. There shouldn't be any planes around here. Especially not jets. I get out of my tent. And look up at the sky. No plane. Man, this feels off. I crawl back into my tent. Before I settle in, I take a picture of the woods from the entrance of my tent. Try to fall asleep, clutching my shotgun. Next morning my face is blown up like a balloon from all the mosquito bites. Have to pack up and portage with an eye swollen shut. Friends laugh at me for sleeping in an A-frame like a dumbass. Neither of them heard the jetliner sound. Neither of them got bit by mosquitoes. Pic related is the pic I took before going back into my tent. Not the strangest experience. I get that feeling of being watched all the time, but that night it was particularly bad.
Since it's Halloween, might as well tell a story, believe me or not IDGAF. Be me, 5 years old, living with mom, dad and grandma at her house. Grandma has a sewing room with a huge mirror that goes from floor to ceiling and occupies a whole wall for itself. Always feel weird in that room. Grandma died years and I still feel weird when there. Anyway, sometimes when I go in front of that room's door, see a female figure sitting on one of the couches. Completely black, I can distinguish it's wearing like a dress and a wide hat. Always see it when the door is open and the hinge is ajar from the doorframe. Always in the same couch. Always in the same pose, legs closed, hands crossed on its lap. Always been told that I'm a weirdo or crazy, so I never told anyone. Last thing I want is to go straight to an asylum or something. See it once in a while, bad things always happen when I see it. Dad is angry, mom is depressed, everyone in the house fights, etc. FFW, I'm 16 now, been seeing the widow, as I called it, every once in a while, always ignore it. That summer I tried to tell my cousins about it, they think I'm insane and pay no attention. Screw it, I know what I saw all these years, but can you blame their skepticism? I wouldn't believe myself if I didn't see her with my own 2 eyes. FFW to end of summer, become more skeptic myself, my cousins leave, everything is normal more or less. That same night go to the kitchen to have water, turn on the light. Annex, that house had lots of terrible room extensions. That same sewing room used to be a living room and a bedroom until my grandma wanted a bigger room for her work. Anyway, the kitchen connected to what was my dad's room as a teenage, but now was just a storage room full of shit. It never had a light or a door, so to see something you needed a flashlight or turn on the kitchen light. Anyway, I turn on the kitchen light. It's her. She's tall, ominous, completely dark. Like a shadow standing in the doorframe to that junk room. Want to run, I'm paralyzed. Try to scream, I can't, I'm in panic. I see the figure walk towards me. It's a good 6 or 7 steps from where I am to that room. I can feel my heart in my throat, my mind is racing. I don't know what that is. Don't want to find out either. It's walking towards me. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps. That thing is less than a meter away from me. Suddenly I can move, scream my lungs out, run for my life to my room. Same room as parents, just divided with a huge closet. Wake up everyone. Try to tell everyone what happened. I'm bawling and crying, trying to tell what I just saw. Nobody believes me. FFW 2020, no longer live in that house. Grandma dies. We all gather to her wake. Tell stories from when she was alive, tell stories of those summers when all the cousins were in that house. Remember the widow, tell everyone, because screw it. They remember. All of them saw her, everyone felt uncomfortable in the sewing room with the mirror, asked them why everyone acted like I was the crazy one when I told them back in the day nobody wanted to look crazy, so instead they just played dumb mother lovers. Turns out everyone knew about whatever that was. I was just the only one that saw it from so close.
Pretty mundane thing, but still found it weird. Be me, chilling after finishing all my homework, plus didn't go to shul that day. I was 14, decide to chill in the front part of my house. It's sunny outside, plus my family is arguing inside about some dumb shit. Try to meditate since I'm already there, plus it might filter out the noise. Keep doing it for at most 5 minutes, sun on my face the entire time. Open my eyes, since the sun was starting to get too hot. Everything is blue. It's like this weird, clinical blue. It's more of like a filter than it just becoming blue. Walls around me go from red to a whitish red, sunlight looks far too pale. Nobody on the streets, no sounds from what I remember, except for the squabble inside. Stay sitting there, feeling a dread in me, like I messed up, bad. After a few minutes it goes away. This happens with me every time I try to meditate, not sure if it's something visual or actually paranormal, but it's still pretty weird to me.
I'm gonna tell you something and you maybe won't believe me. This is what I saw. Every word here unless clarified is as I saw it, how I saw it, and although not necessarily what it was, what I think it is. Some background. Joined the army after HS, drifting through life unmotivated. Leave at 24, did mundane office shit, nothing at all glamorous or interesting. I did have a clearance though, this matters later. Not a particularly good soldier, or human for that matter. Back in real world bounce from job to job, bored and directionless. When I was 27, applied to do some office work at a research center that was a contractor to a large European pharmaceutical company. Clerical shit. Actually kind of enjoy it. About 6 months and I start a new role working with chemists and other scientists developing new base products, delivery methods, ways to have drugs develop or soak in body better, basically the gist, but again I'm pretty dumb, but I was basically a project coordinator type thing. Again, loser in life, I take an offshore thing others done, no family to tie me down. Get processed for new role, set up in France basically helping these docs align drugs and relevant regulations, sort different scenarios, light advisory stuff. Guess you can call it compliance? One day it comes up I have an active clearance. Because of this I'm offered another position in Turkey, basically doing the same thing but cause it's a more clandestine and dangerous environment with threat actors. They wanted someone military / not a moron / could be trusted. She preferred since they didn't want any corporate espionage and also worked tightly on some contacts with intel, gov agencies. Once I'm here I get to know some of the pharma guys. A guy named Lem becomes my main guy I work for. Kinda like his receptionist. One of Lem's oldest accounts is a company called something like PharmCap or something cheesy generic, can't remember. I do lots of intake, spec on this account. Basically they're massive, the biggest for our entire wing of this huge company. I handle a very specific area for them, so obviously didn't know the whole thing, but Lem was one of their main contacts here from what I pieced together. PharmaCap is clearly fake as shit. By now a few years on I had come to know who's who in the industry and worked with lots of other companies, or at least heard / saw them and whatnot over the years. This was a shell through and through, but nobody said anything. Me and Lem have good rapport since his wife was American. Eventually one day I'm like, dude, what the F is PharmaCap and why do they buy so much? Lem shuts me down immediately and scolds me. Roger, soft spot. Whatever. Move on. After some time, curiosity grows. Eventually one day in my filing system I decide to screw it and see what I can find on our enterprise resource system. I had no reason not to have access to pretty much all of it. Click PharmaCap. The account is registered in the Cayman Islands. Procurement exec is John Dominic, and our one-to-one team, who I never met and only had calls with during which it was a different person every time, was Nikki Dominic. Most uncreative shit ever. They've over the years done like 2.7 billion. Holy foo. Eventually I get bored, try and search for some of their products and investigate after our role is done to see application. Oftentimes companies liaise their results and findings with us so we can to spec drive out more effective products. This is a whole other system. When I try and open I get a classified special project or something. Basically saying it's sensitive. Oh wait. I remember I have a clearance over here. Try and badge in. MFW actually works. Once I'm in, it's absolute diamonds. This company uses our products in various programs sorted by a few different parameters. Ones that jumped out were science and tech, bio, war and shamor, psycho and drug, stasis, cancer, conditions. Each had their own sub-project with each having a name like Eyeglass or Whitebird. Tracking was insanely good. Very organized. Start clicking through. At this point I'm totally invested in this shit. Spend the next 4 hours diving so deep my ears ruptured. Don't remember all, but there were so many. Each could be a pasta of its own. A few I remember were Project Dove, Design Get to Spec Tech, Biologics, Environmental, and Climate Control with Chem to keep humans in a state of living for, and I quote, a time of at least 2,000 years, assuming an environment of complete isolation such as one found in space travel. There was also Project Echo, which was really dark, and had lots of documents from Saddam and company children and their wicked shit. An aspect of it was a study done in Iraqi prisoners in a black site prison to try and turn devout Muslims into carriers who, while acting normal, infect other terrorists' cells and expire at a set time after infecting each other in no/low symptom states, aiming to wipe out entire networks. DNA was involved in this one. Also general suggestibility stuff. There was honestly so much. I think the mind-altering stuff in that category was around espionage and spying, trying to suggest others and elicit them into betraying flags or flipping. Also incidentally lots of extremely unethical stuff like torture and disappearances. But the host. The goddamn host. Under somewhere in the precursors area was the host specimen. This host, I guess, from what I read, and again I could be completely wrong, was this alien life form or something? Something either that or so rare you can't even imagine. They talk about this thing like it's the second coming. Apparently whatever it is, it's kept in a tub of a special fluid, and either it's actual matter, of which I assume it was a physical thing, or in very small amounts the secretions filtered through the liquid it was kept and delivered some kind of miracle agent. This agent was used in basically most of their exotic programs in some form, usually highly modified. It had properties of extreme general resistance, extreme space exposure resistance, extreme base/acid resistance, basically insanely maxed stats. Keep in mind all of this is talked about in codes and shit, like it wasn't but it was. There were no pictures, and it was left vague in my opinion on purpose. Could have easily been a well or something, also honestly no idea. There were teams with like $3 million budgets dedicated to finding solutions and alternatives to these substances with no luck. They wanted this bad. Whatever the hell it was. They wanted more. It was bar none like a top mission statement or goal, I guess. Anyway, and then I basically never went back except once, but then the access I used didn't work, probably cause this was before Snowden and the hardening. Anyway, that's my story. I have no idea who, what country, why, where, or any other pieces really. It had to be at least a state, that much I'm certain. Only a nation state could be behind that. There was honestly so much I couldn't even scratch the surface. If they had immortality, adrenochrome, or back to life chemicals or cure for cancer, it was probably there.
Hello/x/. It's been quite a few years since I've lurked the chan, but I felt I had to share this story I've heard many times by my uncle who just recently passed. QRD on my uncle. He'd been in and out of jail throughout his life since a child. Started with petty theft, but that turned into aggravated assault and even an attempted bank robbery. He eventually turned his life around and spent the last few decades of his life dedicated to being a good husband and father to his stepdaughter. The story I'm about to share is his story that he will only tell if asked. He says this was the incident that changed him and made him turn his life over to Christ instead of lusting after the thrills of committing crime. Be my uncle in 1975 in his mid-30s. Serving parole for aggravated assault. Only about 90 days left on a 3-year sentence. Attending a good friend's engagement party. Friend was a fellow inmate who my uncle served time with. Party is at a large indoor skating rink. During the reception, my uncle admits he got jealous of his friend. Uncle's friend has beautiful fiancé, cool muscle car, lots of friends, fell onto big money taking over a business. Uncle's friend throws huge party and goes all out. Uncle says in a fit of jealous rage, he quietly steps out of a rear exit of the skating rink. Uncle said that even though he was wrought with jealousy, he also didn't want to be a burden to his good friend. As my uncle is trying to discreetly leave the reception, he notices something very peculiar out the corner of his eye. A couple of white dudes approaching a black man trying to get his attention, shouting accusations at him. Uncle watches this scene play out. Immediate realization by my uncle that this is the fight he saw earlier when entering his friend's party, only the events playing out are several minutes earlier than they were before he arrived. When my uncle first arrived to the party, he walked past an incident where a couple of white men beat the snot out of a black dude. Fight had already finished, black dude was being schlepped away in humiliation for whatever went down when my uncle arrived. But now, that same fight was only just beginning. My uncle says that it was like time had rewound for him like an 8-track cassette tape the moment he stepped outside that door. At first, Uncle doesn't think anything about it, kind of shrugs it off, still sulking over his friend's reception party. Uncle retraces his steps to head back to the bus stop where the city bus had dropped him off before the party and waits for the next bus. As he waits, he notices the bus arriving well ahead of schedule by his watch. Uncle shrugs, and proceeds to climb onto the bus, only this was the exact same bus he had taken earlier to arrive to his friend's party. Same bus, same driver, even same passengers as before. Meaning, this was the exact same bus he that would have been departing to arrive to the party, but it is just now arriving. Somehow, my uncle found himself stumbling into a time loop. He immediately realizes that he has the opportunity to replay everything that happened over the past several minutes. My uncle rushes back to his friend's reception to confirm. As my uncle approaches the venue, he notices the black man from before, except there were no white guys there to jump him this time. Time had skipped a bit further into the past from my uncle's perspective. He slips back through the rear exit. Sure enough, everything is playing out as it had before some 20 minutes earlier. Side note, it's at this point in the story when you would notice a dramatic change in my uncle's tone and posture while telling his story. Uncle says he felt a strange feeling deep inside his heart. Said it felt like having a railroad spike being driven deep into his chest. Uncle says the first thing that came over him was to take revenge against his good friend. He would use this time skip phenomenon to take advantage of his friend and his unwitting guests and rob them all blind. Like the expert pickpocket he was, Uncle made his way around the reception, stealing people's wallets and even stealing the keys to his friend's awesome muscle car. Sure enough, everything was playing out as it had before, making it easy for my uncle to know who to target and when, since he knew when they would be the most vulnerable. But then Uncle admits that he had gotten too greedy. Stole more than he should have, could have been just a few items, but no. He went for watches and wallets and jewelry. A real heist. In a drunken lust of vengeance fueled by jealousy, Uncle says that it had gotten to the point where his moves were becoming sloppy. He remembers there was a commotion from before as people rushed outside to see the ensuing fight between the black man and the white dudes that were going to jump him. As commotion at the reception began to swell, Uncle would use the opportunity to slip out the back exit like he had before. Uncle makes his way out the back, and sure enough, he sees the two white men approaching the black man again, only this time, my uncle out of sheer curiosity gets closer to listen in on what the commotion was about. Turns out people had accused the black man of stealing from them. Yes, that's right. The very fight my uncle saw the first time he arrived was actually caused by him stealing, and this innocent black guy was taking the blame for it. My uncle had fulfilled his own time loop. Uncle is momentarily stunned by this realization. Turns to leave and go back to the bus stop to make off with his spoils, only in being sloppy, Uncle says his pockets were bulging and he had even dropped a few items onto the ground without realizing, Uncle leaving a trail of evidence without realizing it. Again, as part of the self-fulfilling time loop, a few loose dollars my uncle found on the ground on the way to the event was actually money he had dropped in this part of the loop. Uncle remembers finding that money was a sign that he would have a good day. Didn't realize it was him who dropped the money in the first place. While making his way from the commotion, Uncle says someone noticed him trying to get away. The same money that Uncle found would instead expose him to onlookers in this timeline. Uncle says that two of the white dudes who were otherwise preoccupied with roughing up the black guy now turned their full attention towards my uncle instead and began chasing after him. Uncle says he was too weighed down with the spoils of his crime, but instead of just dumping it, he clutched onto it greedily, which severely handicapped his ability to get away. The two white guys tackle my uncle to the ground, and sure enough, find stolen goods on him. Same stolen goods the black guy was being beat up for from before. In essence, had my uncle not been greedy, the events would have played out as they had before, with none the wiser. Uncle is beaten up and humiliated, then later taken into custody by authorities. Uncle totally betrayed his friend and felt like shit. Taken to jail, refuses bail, and faces the judge. Pleads guilty and gets 5 years prison sentence due to violating parole. Uncle served 3 years in prison regretting his decision and is let free on parole for good behavior. Had he not been greedy, he had the opportunity to do good in the time that was given to him. Instead, he was driven by the evil he said he felt pierced deep into his heart. My uncle ended up becoming a born-again Christian and spent the rest of his life trying to do good. My dad worked for CBS and tried to pitch his brother's story for the Twilight Zone reboot, but the script was never greenlit. One last note, the song 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover by Paul Simon was actually inspired by my uncle's story. Although the song itself was a reflection of Simon's own divorce, Simon was teaching his son about writing song lyrics, and used my uncle's story as his muse. In fact, as you listen to the song, you'll hear references to my uncle's crazy tale. The different names Simon mentions are actually some of the different aliases that my uncle went by throughout his career as a criminal. Here are the lyrics from the chorus of that song. You just slip out the back, Jack, rear exit of the skating rink. Make a new plan, Stan, evil that overtook my uncle's heart. You don't need to be coy, Roy, the boldness my uncle felt when making his heist. Just get yourself free, uncle should have just made a run for it. Hop on the bus, Gus, same as above. You don't need to discuss much, should have not went to see what the commotion was about. The black guy altercation. Just drop off the key, Lee, should have just taken his friend's car since he already had the keys. And get yourself free, again, should have just hightailed it from the scene. Here's the song itself. And here's Paul Simon explaining how he came up with the lyrics to teach his son about rhyming. Doesn't mention my uncle or his story, though.
Working as an assistant for crime scene cleanup service. Shit job while working my way through med school. Seen dozens of deceased men, women, children, babies. Meh. Receive a deceased who is late term pregnant one afternoon at prep facility. Deceased had been dead for some time in humid heat. Meh. Boss begins to prepare the deceased for cold storage, says we'll perform final procedures first thing tomorrow. Nod. Page by secretary, boss is needed off site, as secretary and head office is in a different building up the street from this facility. Boss advises me to head upstairs and eat lunch while he's out. Nod. Prepare my lunch, take my time eating, goof around for a while on my phone. Hear an unusual sound from the basement prep room, upstairs break room not far from basement stairs. Think nothing of it, but decide to check it out anyway. Plug my phone into charge and head downstairs to basement prep room. Arrive to horrific sight. Deceased had begun giving coffin birth to unborn fetus. Near about puke. Most disgusting thing I'd ever seen. Smell is horrific. Almost pass out. Immediately run upstairs to call boss. Boss, stop being a pussy. Don't touch anything. I'll be back shortly. Nod. Wait in break room for boss to return. Hear more noises from the basement prep room. Loud shuffling sounds. Deceased are known to experience involuntary movement, but this was deeply unsettling. Boss taking longer than I care for. Consider quitting my job. Boss finally arrives. Sees I am visibly shaken. Boss apologizes for being a jerk and says he'll handle deceased. Nod. Boss heads to basement. After a brief moment, hear boss shout my name, Anon. Get your ass down here. Now. Not a panicked tone, but an angry one. What? Head downstairs to basement prep room. Boss standing near deceased, visibly trembling with anger like he wants to beat my ass right then and there. Boss, Anon, WTF. I told you not to touch anything. Huh? Assure my boss that I hadn't touched the deceased as per his instructions. Boss, where is fetus? What? Assure my boss that I have no idea what he's talking about. Boss, something like, this isn't a joke, Anon. I swear if I find out that you are pranking, it's over for you. Boss threatens me with severe legal repercussions, says these kinds of pranks will ruin both our reputations. Promise my boss that I did not touch the deceased. Boss asks me to walk him through everything I did while he was away. I oblige. Boss still seems skeptical but is now at least not looking like he wants to kick my ass. Boss tells me to stand still like a scolded puppy and begins looking around the prep room. Ask if I can at least wear face mask, but am met by cold shoulder. After an exhaustive and repetitive search, boss is finally calm. Boss insists I stand still while he examines the deceased. I wait, still trying to choke back gag reflex. Boss had been doing this kind of work long before I came on board, so the smell and horrifying visage doesn't bother him one bit. After a thorough examination, boss determines that the fetus was removed before arriving. Only placenta after birth left. Boss determines natural decay in the deceased caused after birth to be ejected. Boss apologizes. No big deal after all. Except, I promise you, I clearly saw the placenta intact and the shape of the baby's head within. Now placenta is deflated and empty, clear rupture where fetus was removed. Begin to think I'm losing it, but don't say anything to my boss. Boss offers to process deceased, says I can take the rest of the night off. I oblige. Head home. Do not sleep well over next few days. All lights on, radio on blast. Still have horrific night terrors as I try to doze off. Tell myself to be an adult and get my shit straight. Several days later. Called into work in the late evening to receive a deceased. Deceased involved in traffic accident, so not usual crime related. Arrive to prep facility before my boss. Go through usual routine. Scan badge, enter door code, disable alarm system, turn on lights and AC, put on pot of coffee in the break room, etc. Go sit on couch in reception area and start goofing around on my phone. Hear loud noises coming from the basement. Noise is indistinguishable but somehow human and intentional. Nope. Only two ways into the basement, either from upstairs or from rear garage door. No one else there, alarm still armed. Get the hell out of there, go wait in my car. Don't bother to turn anything off, just leave. Consider quitting again. Boss finally arrives with transport service. Boss, Anon, WFT are you doing out here? I'm usually inside goofing off. Tell boss I heard noises coming from the basement prep room and nope the hell out of there. Boss laughs and hurls usual insults at me and tells me to assist in prep work for deceased. I oblige. Deceased is in really bad shape. Male, early 30s, crushed between car and truck while riding motorcycle. Boss and I work feverishly because it's late and we want to get home. Boss suggests we take a quick break. I agree. Boss and I head upstairs. I go to break room. Boss steps out to smoke. Start to prepare a coffee and plan to join my boss outside because screw being in there alone again. While making coffee, hear a distinct, deliberate, and very loud thump from one of the lower cabinets behind me. Immediately think of zombie fetus crawling around. Squeeze my ass cheeks to keep from squirting a turd. Scramble to the bathroom literally clutching my ass cheeks together. Make it just in time to blast pure fear-driven dump into the crapper. Hear a similar loud thump in the hallway leading to the bathroom. Barely wipe my ass in a panic, pull up my pants. Hear a pronounced thud on the bathroom door as though someone is trying to get in. Admittedly squelch out in fear like a total bitch, crying and sweating. Cannot shake the thought of a zombie fetus crawling around. Bathroom door thankfully locks from inside. Grab the plunger and wait for another sound. Go for my phone with my other hand and realize I left it in the break room trying not to shit myself. Figure if I wait long enough my boss will come looking for me. Unless boss gets bitten by zombie fetus. Stand in terror holding plunger like some kind of makeshift sword. Listen intently for a long while. No more noises. Realize that I'm a grown man standing in the bathroom with a plunger because I almost shit myself. Thinking of a zombie fetus crawling around. Start to collect myself, but still holding the plunger out in front of me because screw it. Slowly go for the bathroom door. Hall to bathroom not very long, but in a U shape, and no overhead lights. Seems unusually dark. Have to turn a blind corner. Not looking forward to it. Step cautiously towards the corner. Hear a loud thump from behind me on the bathroom cabinet that sits beneath the sink. Nope. Hall asks for the break room to grab my phone and head straight for the main door, swinging the plunger like an idiot the whole time. Drop the plunger in the foyer and exit the main door. Look around for my boss, who looks up at me from his smoke break with the look a confused puppy gives. Boss notices I'm disheveled and acting stupid. Boss, WTF is it now, Anon? Tell my boss I think I've finally seen my last caller, which is slang at my job for when people who do this kind of work can no longer deal with it. Boss insults me, but in the kind of way to cheer me up. I still consider quitting right then and there. Boss assures me he understands but asks that I at least finish processing this last deceased. I find my boss's tone reassuring. Consider that maybe I am being a big pussy. Remember that I almost just shit myself and tried to defend myself with a plunger against a zombie fetus. Remember that I just left a plunger in the foyer. Now outside trying to find comfort with another man. Realize I'm being super gay about this. Agree to help my boss finish prepping the latest caller. We shoot the shit for a minute. Boss tells his usual assortment of incidents from his past. We decide to head back in. I walk ahead of my boss in order to grab the plunger so as not to embarrass myself. Scurry with it to the bathroom. Drop the plunger and turn. Notice that the cabinet door beneath the sink is gaping wide open when it wasn't before. Freeze for a moment trying to figure out what to do next. Cannot stop myself from imagining a zombie fetus emerging from the cabinet. Force myself to look away from it and hurry for the bathroom door. Make my way downstairs to join my boss. Boss is not downstairs. Neurotically scan the floor for zombie fetus as I go back upstairs. See my boss over in the break room making a coffee. Tell my boss I've finally seen my last caller. Overwhelming desire to just go home ATP and never go back to that place. Boss glares at me with look of deep concern. Boss, something like, it's late, Anon. You look like shit. I'll finish up here. Take a while off and think about it, okay? The nicest my boss has ever been with me. As if he can tell in all of his experience that I'm done, that I've seen my last caller. I apologize to him and leave him there to contend with the zombie fetus on his own. Get in my car and head home feeling like a total loser. Again with the horrific night terrors. All lights on, radio on blast. Cannot sleep. Lay with my blanket pulled all the way up under my nose. Stare at the ceiling. Try to take my mind off the horrific chain of events I just experienced. And then... thump. The same sound as before. Same intensity. Same intentional sounding humanness. Loud and audible from the hallway just outside my room. Very distinctly against the baseboard against the wall. Realize that like an idiot I did not close my room door. And my phone is across the room on my desk charging. Literally start crying. Pull my covers over my head and wait for the zombie fetus to crawl its way up to my bed and start gnawing at me or whatever. This all happened this past week. I keep hearing that same thump follow me around wherever I go now. It always starts distant and gets closer and closer with each thump. Yeah, I know how stupid this sounds, but I know it's the zombie fetus. And I know once I actually see it, it's like over for me. I know I will die instantly on the spot at that exact moment, and no one will ever know why. I just know it.
Here are a series of short anecdotes from World War II vets. Family picture. In the bitter wintertime cold, a soldier on a reconnaissance mission stumbles upon a remote rural cabin. A whole side of the cabin had been ripped away by an artillery shell that had exploded some time before. The soldier cautiously enters the cabin and searches room by room until he comes upon the kitchen, where he sees a small, quaint family of 4. The husband is in his chair enjoying his pipe, his 2 small children sit in front of an extinguished fireplace, and the mother is standing with a broom in her hands. Apparently, the artillery shell had consumed all the available oxygen within an immediate radius, leaving the family frozen in their places, not knowing they were dead, perfectly preserved by the cold. All of them eerily quiet as wax figures, while petals of snow delicately fell over them like Christmas ornaments. The Banshee. She was a young and courageous girl, not long after blossoming into womanhood. She was ordered to comply for her own safety, but her youthful vigor lent her a stubbornness that was unflappable. Dressed in the obvious hand-me-down rags of a peasant boy, if it weren't for her supple skin and braided locks, one would never know her to be a lass. Unfortunately for her, she was the enemy, and the mission too critical. In trying to appease her Führer, she darted like a rat into the armory. A bold but futile act of rebellion. There was no need to chase after her. A single mortar was all it took to set off a chain reaction that would bring the entire armory down in a twisted tangle of structural steel. We were smug in thinking that was the end of Hitler's brave little mouse. We set up camp and let the day pass, as our rendezvous was at least 3 days out, and we were ordered to hold our position at the armory. But we wouldn't find the comfort to sleep once night fell. Turns out that under all that massive scrap and metal, a steam pipe had managed to wail in anger, loud enough to echo off the rows of distant trees. The only remedy for this was to send in the company engineer to find and patch the steam valve. But it would have to wait until dawn because we were low on supplies and our lanterns without batteries, and the last thing you carry into a pile of exploded rubble is a torch's open flame. The wail of the steam pipe ensured that we would not rest. When dawn came, we sent the engineer and 4 troops who were still able-bodied to rummage through the scrap in order to quell that angry steam pipe, because we were all tired and weary and couldn't bear the thought of not being able to sleep until rendezvous arrived. It wasn't difficult to triangulate the source of our misery, and sure enough, she was ready to greet us with a bloodied skull whose skin had been peeled back, eyes still wide and pale with death, and a ruptured steam pipe wedged at the base of her neck to lend her the banshee's wail that had been haunting us. Oracle. He sat diligently in the corner of his bunker, tapping listlessly in Morse code on his radio box. His message repeating itself over and over. -1E4N, leading us on a path to find victory. I walked over to our brother, unplugged his radio, and laid my hand gently over his to calm it. I then removed my scarf and wrapped it carefully around his head in order to spare him the indignity of being found with a hole where his face should have been. Rest well, brother. You served our nation well. We will never forget your tireless sacrifice so that we could make it back home safely. Saturn wept. When we found him, he was weeping incessantly. He was lying on his side in a shallow ditch, and reeked of his own urine and feces, covered in his own filth like a prize hog. His face and parts of his arms and ankles that were exposed were covered in thick, black, bristles of hair. Our field medic was not fluent in conversational French, but knew enough to make do. In his poorly enunciated dialect, the medic ordered the civilian to get up slowly with his hands raised in surrender. We could clearly tell he was no threat, but one can never be too sure. The Frenchman was gaunt and pale, and seeing as his entire village was now a pile of rubble, had clearly been exposed to the elements for several days if not more. His entire body shivered with trauma and likely starvation. But this was not a rescue operation. No. We needed him clear of the open streets, as he would draw unnecessary attention to our position. Best to give him a small ration of supplies and send him off to die on his journey to the next nearby village. Looking like a living cadaver, the Frenchman's feet drug his slumping frame over to a nearby smoldering pile of rubble that was once probably a very beautiful chateau. There among the remnants was a young girl whose arm was in a sling, and if the flies, maggots, and fetid stench were any indication, very likely gangrenous. Though the look in her sad and swollen eyes were that of sheer terror, we could tell that the Frenchman had hidden her there by way of being her father. Such a pitiful sight was this child that our medic insisted that he would at least try to administer relief for her wounds as he escorts them to safety from our immediate arena. The poor child barked in disobedience as her father drug her sternly by the arm, but she is eventually coaxed to follow her father and our medic. After a half an hour or so, our medic returns from his Samaritan duties. We notice that his rifle is drawn to his forward rather than over his shoulder, and his brisk gait we took to mean that he had sighted the enemy approaching. On pure reflex we began to take positions, but upon trying to hail our medic, he kept at pace without acknowledging us, stopping to pull a cigarette out of his sleeve, light it, and proceeded to take a deep draw from it as if supping from ambrosia itself. His posture demanded that we wait until he gathered himself, so we waited. He nearly finished the entire cigarette with just a few more deep inhales, then gives us his grim revelation. The child's wounds were the result of being torn by human teeth. Turns out she was the oldest of 3, and her younger siblings had already been used as sustenance for their starving father, the youngest being only 13 months old. She told the medic where we would find the remains of her younger siblings. Upon this revelation, our medic emptied his rifle into the skull of the Frenchman with extreme prejudice. The child was administered morphine and allowed to inevitably pass due to massive blood loss. Let's just say that we were not inclined to report the incident to our superiors.
This is my first time ever posting on this board. English is not my language, so please be gentle. Be me. 6 or 7 years old. Tiny kid visiting my aunt's house in rural Spain, like 60 kilometers from Madrid but basically middle of nowhere. The classic old people village, nothing but fields, stray dogs, and abandoned buildings once you step outside of the main village. Back of the house has this big fence covered in plants. There's a small gate that leads to another street in the village. Playing near it with my cousin, she was like 10 years older. Here's something moving behind the gate. We look over. Big ass dog staring at us through the gate. Not aggressive, just standing there like some gentle forest spirit. Fluffy as hell, looked friendly. Tell my cousin we should feed it or play with it. She's like, no, don't. TFW, I just wanted a dog friend. Pic related looks like it, but the one I saw was orange-ish. Dog looked stray, no collar, kinda sad. Really wanted to adopt it. Cousin didn't care, she eventually left me alone there, or at least that's how it felt. I keep staring at the dog, debating if I should pet him. Dog eventually walks away. Call him back, call my cousin too. No answer from either. Few minutes later I see my cousin behind the gate. Finally, she's back. I want to keep playing. But something feels off. She's just standing there, staring at me. Not blinking, not smiling, just that weird expression that triggers every uncanny valley neuron in my tiny brain. Call her name. No answer. She keeps staring, doesn't even move her lips. I step outside to ask what's wrong. She slowly walks backwards as I get closer. Sometimes runs a few steps away but never breaks eye contact. Sorry, posted during work and got bussy. That's when I notice it. She's wearing a white dress. My real cousin was wearing shorts and a white t-shirt. Brain. EXE stops working. Too young to understand what's happening. Only thought, why is cousin mad at me? She climbs this weird mound thing near a small park. I try to follow, but it's hard because I'm tiny and I end up falling down. She looks pissed now. Starts making angry faces. Then she screams. No actual words, just loud sounds like someone trying to talk but not knowing a single word. Nope, the hell out. Ran faster than my short legs ever did. Back to the house, through the gate. Rush inside, thinking WTF is happening. Enter the main house looking for some adults. They're in the kitchen. My real cousin is there too. Wearing the shorts and t-shirt. Helping them make croquettes. Feel my soul leave my body. WTF.jpg. Ask her why she screamed at me and changed clothes. She just stares confused. Aunt and mom think it's just kid imagination shit. Apparently she'd been in the kitchen the whole time since the dog showed up. Dog never came back either. Nor did the whatever that was wearing her face. Never saw it again. I still don't know what the hell I saw. Maybe some random autistic girl who looked exactly like her? But why the same face, same hair, same eyes, and that dress? Doppelganger? Skinwalker? Ike man, I was just a kid. Been 20 plus years and it still freaks me out. Does anybody know anything related to Spanish/South European folklore that could be related to this?
This isn't a green text exactly, it's more of a /r/ that I saw once. This might not be totally accurate because it's from memory. Afghanistan/Iraq/ one of those kind of countries. Troop gets sent to a village for a reason I can't recall. Village is deserted. Start exploring the buildings. May or may not be food cooking and some of them I can't remember. These weird spell things or trinkets of ill omen in different buildings start getting noticed. Gradually all of the soldiers start acting batshit like Blair Witch, staring at walls and stuff before going mental. Whole thing is filmed through body cams. Original backstory of why they were there was /x/tier. Then it evolved into, which I'm beginning to think is some glowy meme now because of how often it seems to come up, it's a teaser from a movie/student project. But the production budget would have been way too high for a shitty movie, no one ever mentioned again, and definitely for a student project. Buildings all seemed completely legitimate and not a set. All of the lingo was entirely accurate. In the comments certain things were mentioned about camo and shit that you only get on the real deal and can't buy from Amazon. Lots of different little things pointed to it not being 100% fake. Even tiny details no one would bother with for a meme. Never been able to find the video again, and it seems like it's been scrubbed from the interwebs. It's a neat little video, I think /x/ would appreciate it.
I can't remember if I shared this before or I meant to. I know for certain at least one of you will have experienced something similar. 8 or 9 in primary school. Used to love wearing corduroy pants for some reason and always wore them to school. In the class there was one of those mechanical pencil sharpeners attached to the teacher's desk so she could see who was trying to waste time. If you needed an eraser you had to ask her for it because people would always steal them. I got the eraser this one time and, apparently, put it in my pocket without thinking when I was back at my desk. Some little grass on my table told the teacher I was stealing it. I protested that I hadn't. Even put my hands in my pocket to check and there was nothing in them, totally empty because all stationery and things were supplied by the school. Teacher makes me stand up in front of everyone and turn my pockets out. Turn my pockets out. Feel something in my hand. Must have that look of guilt on my face because the smug teacher turns her hand out ready to receive the eraser. This doesn't feel like an eraser and I really don't want to get it out. Tells me to hand it over. Have the object clenched in my fist. Reluctantly open my fist. It's a dog's tooth. Not like the cool canine ones, but a molar. Teacher looks at me like I'm very strange. Everyone in the class thinks I'm a weirdo. Don't even have a dog. Have no clue where it came from. Never found the eraser neither. I still think about it sometimes just because of how bizarre it was. I think with the eraser at least I put it on my desk and someone else took it. The desks were weird because they were more like tables for 2 people, but there would be 4 together, 2 horizontal back to back and then 1 vertical at either end, so it was like 8 people sharing one big desk. I know people have found teeth in their pockets before, but they were usually human and equally unsure where they came from.
I promise you this story is 100% true. Be me, in college. Broke as shit, as per usual. See a cute girl entering the cafeteria. College has a cafeteria-style food court. Grab a tray, pick your food, pay at the register setup. Follow cute girl into the cafeteria, knowing full well how broke I am. Grab some random items because my real motive is to scope out this cute girl on the low. Girl heads to the cashier. I follow. Plan in my head how I'll pat around for my wallet, then shrug and be like, oh well, must have forgot my wallet somewhere. Sorry. Cute girl ahead of me pays for her food. I'm next. Go for my fake lost my wallet routine. Feel inside my jacket pocket. Wait. What's this? Exact amount of cash I need for the random items I picked. Exclamation mark. Pay for my food. Watch where cute girl sits. Wander around as if looking for a table to sit at, planning to make a move. Cute girl's boyfriend arrives and sits with her. Universe must have been like, you didn't get the girl, but here's some free food anyway.
I've had a similar thing happen to me too. About 22 at the time. Stopped by a store for a bag of potato chips. For whatever reason didn't take a card with me, just two €1 coins. Remind myself to be mindful of what I can afford, but immediately switch to autopilot and just pick what I usually get. Costs more than €2, don't even stop to consider the price. I'm in line, hands in my pockets. Specifically remember rubbing the 2 coins together. As the cashier grabs my shit to scan it, I suddenly realize I'm not carrying enough money to pay for it. Ah hell. Always been a socially anxious autismo. Reality turns to ice. Mind starts reeling thinking of how I'm going to have to tell her I can't pay for this one item in front of all these people. 2 seconds seem like half a minute as I consider how I'm going to play this to not look like a broke moron. Decide it's best to pretend like I forgot how much I had with me. Cashier tells me the amount and I pull out my now sweaty, cursed coins of shame, still pinched between my thumb and index finger. Dump them on my palm and spend solid 5 seconds staring at 3 coins. 3. 2.50 in total. WTF. Realize that the cashier is still waiting and hand her the money. Quietly thank whatever benevolent spirit just conjured 50 cents into my hand as I grab my spirit chips. Probably managed to look like a dumbass anyway. It's lame as hell, but I will go to my grave 100% convinced that as I was standing in line I only had 2 coins between my fingers. I want to believe that there is a guardian fairy out there somewhere that exclusively labors to save autists from brief moments of humiliation.
Got a few stories my mom told me a while ago, thought you all might like it. She worked as a doctor for a very long time, she retired at 92. I don't wanna say what specific branch because she was a big name player too, if you work in the field you'd know her name. She's been all over the world, mainly South America and Europe, and she said her favorite story was when she lived in the USSR for a year to train some doctors as part of some medical program. It was a while since I've heard these stories, so they might not be accurate entirely though. Be around 1955. Be my mom, about 22. Just finished a 4-month Russian language program in the US. Steps off the plane in Moscow. Get interrogated by secret police, this will become a theme. She always described the interrogators as being nicer than she expected. She assumed they didn't want to do anything too big to an American. Anyways. After like 2 hours of questioning, they let her go. Step out of the airplane, immediately fall in love with the area. Her and her doctor friends are allowed to wander the city for a while, KGB tour guides are nearby but not too overbearing. Eventually they get herded onto the bus and taken to the US Embassy, answer questions and given basic info in case something goes wrong. Says the Soviets were more worried than the Americans because, as they were told later, if they got hurt, killed, whatever, then it'd be blamed on the guides. Gets introduced to her handler, a black American dude named Frank. Genuinely shocked to meet another American, has the thickest southern accent she's ever heard. No time to question it, they have a bus ride to catch, get introduced to their Soviet counterparts. Very polite, well-mannered. Apparently my mom's secretary was really interested in one of the Belarusian doctors. She reminded him this wasn't a dating show. Get shown their new medical facility. She would later learn 90% of the job was dealing with hangovers or sending people off to deal with broken bones after doing stupid shit. Assigned 2 Ukrainian doctors, Ivanka and Maria. Maria was a very quiet girl, apparently got traumatized after finding some unexploded ordnance from World War II and almost getting killed from it. Ivanka was just a massive bitch. Mom hated her, but she knew her shit. The doctor's office they were assigned wasn't too bad. Definitely needed some work though. Mom gives Ivanka and Maria a basic quiz on how to prepare an office for patients. Maria just copies what Ivanka does, sanitizing beds, organizing tools, basic shit. Mom chuckles to herself as she finds an old copy of the Communist Manifesto in a cabinet. Has to stop because of the first patient coming in. Just a heads up, I didn't become a doctor, so I'm just parroting what I remember. Russian dude who broke his foot. Absolutely howling with pain. Asks how he broke it. It's not lethal but not great. Apparently he broke it while hunting with his friends, and fell down a ditch. Tells Ivanka to give him painkillers while Maria prepares x-rays. The only x-ray machine is broken. Blyat. JPEG. Basically has to guess, gives him antibiotics and prepares to gauze it up. Asks Ivanka to get crutches. Ivanka tells Maria to get it. Maria sighs and goes to grab them. Mom sits and talks with Russian guy while dealing with his foot. Apparently he fought in Iran, tells Mom stories about his service, about meeting Brits and Australians. Says Brits were alright but he hated Australians. Mom couldn't remember why when she was telling me the story. He's calm now, freaking out less. Mom talks about her time in Argentina and Chile working to help doctors there. Maria returns with crutches. She teaches Russian dude to walk on them, does some paperwork and sends him on his way. She teaches Ivanka and Maria to make conversation while dealing with the patient to calm them down. Maria's opened up a bit. Maria and Mom do paperwork. Ivanka goes to smoke a cigarette. Apparently Maria has never left the USSR, so she asks my mom tons of questions about her experiences. Frank walks in with a clipboard. Asks to speak to my mother. Riga. MP4. Expects to get a dressing down for talking about the outside world. She liked Moscow, but she wasn't stupid. Instead Frank just asks Mom about the US. Apparently he immigrated to the USSR when he was 19 in the 30s, after getting tired of Jim Crow in the South. He was curious how the US was holding up. Talks about the shit he's seen in the US, about how much he loved Soviet Russia, etc. etc. Mom talks about FDR, Truman and Eisenhower and the stuff they've done. Frank isn't impressed with any of them. She asks how he joined the KGB. Can't talk about it. Oh well, back to work. Fast forward about a month. Ivanka can basically do the job herself. Maria's making good progress. Maria's really good at talking to patients. Ivanka has increasingly begun chastising Maria for being too talkative. If it was something political it'd be reasonable, but Ivanka's just being a bitch. Mom figures Ivanka is good enough to do her own work, so she requests she be given a duty station on her own. Granted. Ivanka is much happier. Mom says Maria breathed a sigh of relief, Starts doing much better. Still incredibly nervous. Mom invites Maria out to dinner to cheer her up. Maria warns her about Soviet restaurant quality. Mom thinks she's exaggerating. Damn near breaks down like twice in the restaurant, decides to just buy food and cook. Copies a recipe she learned in El Salvador for pupusas. Maria is flabbergasted on how she can afford the ingredients. She's being paid an American wage. In Soviet Russia, it's about 10x as much. Mom was told not to go bragging about it, for obvious reasons. Makes like 40 for the entire band of doctors. KGB guys are confused why they smell like they just got back from a Taco Bell. One has to leave the room laughing after one of my mom's doctors rants about the specifics of how to make proper pancakes. KGB general isn't impressed. They get reassigned to Vladivostok. BTW, this has all been a precursor to the main/X/part. I had to build up because it's all essentially, also funny, get relocated to Vladivostok, everyone hates it. Negotiate with the US company that send them, so it's decided they're gonna stay only for about 2 more months instead of the normal amount of time. Work near some merchant section of the port treating sailors. Get given an address for the clinic they're supposed to head to. After about half an hour bus ride after getting off the plane, finally make it to the area. Not there. The building is missing. Driver's flabbergasted. It isn't cordoned off, it isn't destroyed, under repairs. It's gone. Driver makes a call, in like 10 minutes about 50 cops turn up. Mom says she got questioned for about 5 hours in a nearby office. She mentioned that most of the intelligence guys she talked to were usually calm, but hard to read. But these ones were just as confused as they were. Sent back to Moscow. Same work, Mom eventually meets back up with Maria. Maria's overjoyed. Mom takes to befriending Frank. After a few months she decides to ask about the incident. Frank apparently heard about a bridge near Omsk when he first moved to the country that did the same thing, but the KGB really doesn't like when their officers talk about stuff like that. I'm wondering if anyone else has heard stories like that. Also, if anyone's curious, after the USSR collapsed, Maria came to the US and met up with my mom. Apparently they still send each other letters. If Terry's any other questions, then I'd be willing to answer them.
Visit brother's family. 6-year-old nephew's got a new hobby. He draws every day for up to 6 hours. Dozens of drawings every day. He's had some issues before, so sitting down to calmly draw is an improvement. Brother says he's a little bit worried. Ask why. The drawing obsession started because the nephew was bored at a funeral. Ask what's strange about that. Nobody told him to draw. He just decided that he had to draw. He pestered everyone at the wake until someone found him a pen and paper. After that he's been drawing every day. Don't understand what brother is implying. Decide to look at what nephew's been drawing recently. It's mostly normal things like Minecraft characters. Some of the drawings are family portraits. Kid is surprisingly good and everyone is recognizable. When he draws the whole family, he includes their dogs, who are both dead by now. Nephew would have been a baby when the dogs died, so it's odd he even knows them. Many pictures also have an extra character who has a wide-brimmed hat. As soon as I see the character, it clicks for me. It's nobody in the family, it's not me. It's the Hat Man, Gray Man, Shadow Man, whatever you want to call it, clear as day. Brother doesn't know anything about the Hat Man or Shadow people, but was intuitively creeped out. Looked through literally hundreds of drawings. It's not just Minecraft, it's all kinds of things from people to animals and places. Only thing that stays the same is the Hat Man, everything else changes. Always tall with a wide-brimmed hat, always fully colored in with black or gray. He's with the family at the store, he's with them at the hospital. He's even in some pictures when it's just nephew alone in his room. As the evening progresses, nephew draws a new picture and brings it to me. It's a drawing of me looking through the stack of papers while the Hat Man stands next to me looking. Sorry, there's no punchline. It's just very creepy. I don't know if there's something I should do about it.
In 2016, the name of Gustavo Porta-Fuentes echoed throughout Guatemala's influent ears. A 31-year-old man, a civilian and high-ranking public official, was accused of serial murder. The brutality of his actions shocked his peers, with more than a dozen bodies found buried in the vast backyard of his home on the Guatemalan coast. The victims? Young women, whose tragic fates will remain hushed up by the political power and corruption that covered up the case. His actions, however, could not be kept secret for long, and he was finally arrested, sentenced to death and awaiting execution by hanging, which was scheduled for 2022. As Porta-Cuesta held a high position in the government, the case was hushed up and all records disappeared, with nothing leaking to the media. Even his name was erased. Therefore, there is no information left on the web about this case. But, in the middle of 2024, I received a folder containing several sound recordings, whose origins went back to Porta-Cuesta. The strangest thing, these recordings had nothing or little to do with the crimes itself, but rather with his other identity, that of an experimental musician. Under the pseudonym LSE, Porta-Cuesta recorded albums of experimental music that, until then, were unknown to the public. These recordings are disturbing, defying the conventions of traditional music and delving into unsettling territories that echo the chaos and darkness of his own life. Although details about the original case have been erased, and even Porta-Cuesta's name has disappeared from official records, these recordings offer a window into the troubled mind of a serial killer who, it seems, was also trying to express his anguish in a completely different way. I am making the file available on the internet. The download is free and clean. The material is very strange, listen at your own risk.
B5. Family gets a new home phone. Old phone gets left in the back room, still connected and operational. Mom doesn't let you use the phone on your own yet. Secretly talk to relatives through the leftover quick dial registry that just need you to press one button. Pressing 1 calls mom's number, 2 calls dad, 5 calls grandma, etc. Talk to everyone other than mom and dad, just info dumping about your daily life and making fart sounds. Most relatives act weird and don't want to talk. The only one who can't get enough is quick dial number 3. Talk to number 3 about everything. If dad's getting fat, tell number 3. If mom's out of town, tell number 3. Number 3 is a guy just called Jack. Talk to Jack for weeks. Parents already know you're using the phone. They think it's to call grandma. Jack talks about cool things like girls and swearing and other stuff. Talking to Jack is nothing like talking to lame old grandma. Birthday comes around, so tell Jack. Jack wants to come over. Give him the house address since you know it by heart. By some stroke of luck decide to tell parents that Jack is coming over. Who's Jack? Try to explain, but mom and dad don't get it. Birthday party gets cancelled with no explanation. Unfortunately, it's not a ghost story. All the quick dials other than 1, 2 and 5 were set up to call random numbers for some reason. I was just talking to strangers and out of them one became a bit too interested and wanted to come over. Dad gave the info to the cops and we moved house. Kind of wish there was a better ending, but to me it's still very creepy to think about.
Middle of winter. Live up north with a good chance of aurora borealis. In the city, light pollution makes them look like shit. One night have insomnia. Screw it, decide to drive up north into the countryside to maybe see the northern lights. Bring a camera. It's an old piece of shit since story takes place in early 2000s. Cold as hell outside, under -20°C. Car is old, but reliable. Still a little sketchy to go out alone, so pack warm clothes, food etc. just in case. Drive down small back roads to a nice spot in the middle of nowhere. Small valley with short pine trees. Visibility is great. There's no clouds, so even without aurora borealis you can clearly see space. Take a long exposure picture of space. Also take a picture of your car for fun. While taking the picture, hear a loud pig-like groan from the forest. Freeze. Hear the sound again. This time it's higher pitched and sounds like a banshee. It's coming from close by. Look around, but all you see is pine trees covered in snow. Hear the groan for a final time and a tree shake. Wish you had taken a gun with you, since it might be a bear that failed to hibernate. Wait in silence, just listening to your own heartbeat. Eventually calm down. Investigate every tree close by but find nothing. Walk back to the car willing to just forget about it. Check the final tree right next to the car. Instantly see a swollen purple and red woman's face in the tree. Its eyes are wide open, eyes staring right back at you. Almost pass out from the fright and almost punch it. Come to your senses and realize it's a person and they need help. Dig them out of the snow and bring them to a hospital. It's a snowshoe hiker that went missing 2 days ago. They tripped in the middle of nowhere and just got fully stuck, wedged between tree and snow, left to die. They had to amputate toes etc., but she survived. It's my dad's story. I saw his picture of the car as a kid and the woman's face was clearly visible in it. It was creepy.
This is one of those things that doesn't sound scary at all, but I dunno, it was a bit weird. Still don't know what it was. Brother driving me home one night around 1 a.m. decides to go up Spook Road. It's a much shorter trip, super sketchy at night if you're walking it though. Even in a car it's a bit creepy. Has this sudden bend in it and I can't tell you how many cars have crashed there. It's pretty much small woods on one side, the road, bigger woods on the other side. This is around winter, so there's no leaves on the trees. Start driving up, and just as we get around the bend, see this cloudy smoky misty fog coming from the small woods across the road a little further up. Point this out to brother, but he doesn't even seem to see it by how he dismisses it. My assumption is someone is having a fire in the woods, because it's common to do that and the smoke is blowing in the wind despite it being a really still night. Drive under it and car seems like it's losing power. Get a little way past it and brother stops in the middle of the road staring in the rear view. Asks me if I can see what I had already pointed out to him. Look out rear window and it's definitely not from a fire. It's really thick, about 10 to 12 feet above the road, white, actually quite big, and just sorta suspended above our lane, not moving at all. No other smoke or whatever coming from the woods now. Watch it for a few seconds. Starts spinning like a mini hurricane, then completely dissipates. It was just really weird. I've been on that road a million times, and while there have been spooky events happen, alone and with friends, I've never seen anything like that before.
Be me, 8 years old. Late afternoon, about an hour before sunset. Tossing around 2 paper plates spray painted silver and taped together so that it looks like a flying saucer. Later that night, trying to go to sleep. Feel something poking me in the back. Pull the covers over my head in fear. Peer out from the covers after what feels like a half an hour. See a little golden glow-in-the-dark spaceman dancing on my nightstand in a jerking motion that resembles stop-motion animation.
This story happened to my grandfather, who is now 93 years old, but at the time he was 14 years old and living on a farm. He always told me this story, but I finally convinced him to detail it for me. When I was young, I lived with my family in the countryside on a farm near a small town. My father worked on the farm, planting coffee and other agricultural products at the time, and my brothers and I helped him with everyday tasks, such as taking care of the animals we had on the farm, such as pigs, chickens and horses. We also raised some cattle, and we had pure milk freely due to the many dairy cows that were there. Our farm also sold milk to help with the family income. At that time there weren't numerous schools like today, and to study we had to walk for about 8 kilometers to another place where a classroom was built, with the teacher traveling from the nearest town to give classes for children in our region. It was a hard life, but I missed that time. Well, it all started one morning when my father found an ox from his herd dead in the pasture. There was no sign of animal attack. Except that strangely it didn't have a drop of blood at all, and there were 2 small holes on the right side of his body. Very round holes. My father found that strange, but he couldn't figure out what it was. A week or so later my father found another ox dead under the same circumstances. The second ox, like the first, also had no blood in its body, and had the same types of holes as the first in its body. The place where the oxen were killed was near a large forest in the region. 2 nights after what happened, we woke up at dawn with our dogs barking angrily, as if there was someone close to our house. So my father, already worried about the death of the 2 oxen, took a rifle from our house and went outside with an oil lamp to have a look. My mom didn't want him to go, but he left anyway. Minutes later we heard 2 shots, and then my father came home scared. So we asked him why he had shot, and he told us with wide eyes that he was near the pigsty, when in the nearby woods he heard a noise, so he lit it with the lamp, but he couldn't see clearly. Suddenly, in the moonlight, he saw in the woods a creature about 8 feet tall, walking upright, standing, and when it turned to my father's side, its eyes were red, as if they were lit. And that was when my father shot it and came home scared. We asked him if he hit the shot, and he said he didn't know, but that we were supposed to go check it out in the morning because that thing shouldn't be from this world. Needless to say, we were all scared of what my dad saw, especially from my dad who wasn't afraid of anything and was tall and strong. Early the next day, we all went out to see if there were any blood marks or traces where my father said he had seen the creature. We looked around and found no blood, but strangely we found some footprints we had never seen before. They were of a type of 2-legged animal with 5 long fingers, looking like the marks of some kind of lizard, and they were heading towards the dens. The woods that were close to the site. Curious about what happened, my father went to talk to his neighbor and friend, Mr. John, telling him what had happened on our farm. My father asked if something similar had ever happened in his place. Mr. John told him that not like that, but that he had heard strange noises at night near his house, like a grunt, and the dogs were barking all night long. It was then that my father invited Mr. John to go out on a hunt, to hunt the creature that was prowling our lands. 2 days later they set out to hunt the creature. Very curious, wanted to go too, because I really wanted to know what it was. At first my father didn't want to, but he ended up letting me tag along. So on the appointed day, early in the morning we left, me, my father, my Uncle Bill and our neighbor, Mr. John. So we started hunting that strange creature. My father carried a rifle, my uncle and Mr. John each carried a hunting pistol. I imagined what we might find along the way. We went into the forest looking for footprints, but found nothing. So when we arrived at the edge of a large lake that existed in the region, Mr. John called us to show us some different footprints he had found. They were very similar to the ones we found on our farm the night my father spotted and shot the creature. So my father said that the creature should be around. We then followed those strange tracks, but mysteriously, after about 300 feet they disappeared. We were all amazed at the disappearance of the footprints, as the ground was soft in that patch of forest. We wondered how they could disappear like that. We walked for a few more hours, and found no sign of the creature. Then we returned home. Arriving home, my mother, already worried, was waiting for us anxiously asking if we had found something. My dad said no, but we'd look it up another time. Some time passed, until a few days later when my father found another ox dead in his pasture, and by the signs of it, it had been killed in the same way as the previous ones. There were, as before, 2 holes, and not a drop of blood on its body. My father was enraged by that, and said it was too much. So he called Mr. John again, and said they would go after the creature at night, as that was when it attacked. My mother, knowing that, didn't want to let him go, but my father was stubborn. He said that it was decided, and that he was going to solve that problem because he didn't want to see his animals dead anymore. So early in the evening the next day, we all got together and went after the strange creature that was attacking our cattle. As before, my father, Mr. John and my uncle took their weapons. My father and Mr. John each carried a torch, and my uncle and I an oil lamp. We went into the forest and stayed in the nearest area. As he attacked at night, my father figured it shouldn't be far. As we walked, we kept trying to look for tracks, but we didn't find them due to the darkness and the little lighting we had available. Arriving in a clearing at a certain point in the forest, my father decided to take a break and build a fire. It must have been about 10 o'clock at night or so. So we stayed there talking for a while, and always looking around. It was a night with a full moon, but with some clouds, with the moonlight illuminating the darkness of the night a little. I believe we stayed there for about an hour and a half, talking. After resting, we went back to walking, and headed towards a small river that crossed that part of the forest. There we began to look for more traces, until in a certain part of the bank my father called us to show us something. They were the same footprints we had seen before, and they were recent. So the creature should be around. We followed the footprints, which entered the forest, but as before, they mysteriously disappeared. My father was angry about that, as it was the second time we lost track of it. So he decided that we should go in the direction the footprints were going. We continued through the woods for a long time, until in a certain place we began to hear sounds of the bushes moving and sticks breaking as if someone or something was moving. It wasn't that close, but it indicated something. We headed in that direction where we had heard the noises. As we approached, the noise ceased. So we were looking around, looking for clues to something, but we didn't see anything except Mr. John and my uncle, who found broken tree branches and crushed weeds, indicating that something had been there. My father then prepared his rifle and the others drew their pistols. We stayed for a few minutes in that place in silence, looking for something or some sound that would draw our attention. Then a few minutes later we heard a noise coming from the woods just ahead. We went there carefully. I was already in a cold sweat from all that dread I felt at that moment. We went through the forest, along a very precarious type of trail that existed there. Ahead, there were many more trees than where we were, and the darkness was increasing due to the poor light from the moon. At that point in the woods, on the right side of the trail, we heard a noise of twigs breaking, and then a kind of grunt. I got goosebumps all over. We then slowly took a few more steps, very slowly and carefully towards the sounds. It was when looking into the darkness of the forest with the help of torches and lamps, just a few feet ahead, we saw it. His eyes were red, looking like lit fires. It looked like a type of two-legged lizard, and was approximately 8 feet tall. His body looked like an alligator, only smoother, looking damp. Its hands or paws had huge claws, and its teeth looked like those of dinosaurs from the movies, pointy and sharp. When we came across the creature, it stared at us and let out a roar so loud I was almost deaf. My dad and the others were helpless for a few seconds in fear. They were paralyzed. We all were. When my father managed to react and point the rifle at the creature, it turned and took a leap so big it looked like it had springs in its feet, disappearing into the woods. My father, my uncle and Mr. John shot several times towards the creature, but they certainly missed, because with the speed that it disappeared, it wouldn't be possible to hit it. We didn't speak for a while, and I started to cry. It's a little embarrassing, but I couldn't help it. So my father immediately ordered us to go home, as according to him and his beliefs, it wasn't of this world. We quickly returned home, all panicked. The scene was so terrifying, that even Mr. John spent the rest of the night at our home afraid to return to his place, fearing he would run into that creature along the way. We told our mother what had happened, and that she was appalled by the report. We all commented around the region about what had happened, and some did not believe it, and others had the most diverse theories, saying that it could even be the devil that was in the forest. After a few weeks, another dead ox was found in our pasture, and sometime later another one on Mr. John's farm. But my father never wanted to go after the creature again. He just looked at what had happened, and lowered his head, swaying from side to side. On other nights in the distance, we heard that same roar coming from the forest, and we wondered that it must be the strange creature that was there. A few months later we didn't hear anything else. No more dead animals and strange noises at night. So we figured the creature must have left, perhaps looking for another place to inhabit. My father and Mr. John avoided talking about what had happened. My uncle did the same. I believe I was the most affected by it all. I had nightmares for several months, and I panicked to even get close to the forest. I always tell this story to anyone who wants to hear it, because it was something real that happened in my life, and I can't just erase it from my mind.
Be me. Used to live in Florida. Had this guy near me who used to live in a farmhouse. This farmhouse was at the back of a field near me. I will just call him A. I lived in a wooded area next to a creek. This creek ran past both houses. Area was rural as hell. Nearest store was like 10 miles from us. Barely anyone around. Nowhere to even really go or anything to do without driving for miles. This guy A had been best friends with my roommate for a long while. They ended up having a falling out when they were younger though. Here is where it gets worse. A's sister had been missing for many years now. Both his parents had already passed. There were some pretty strange rumors about him. There was talk in the local community that A had actually killed his sister. Bear in mind this area probably has around 50 to 100 people tops. And it seemed like near everyone here thought this to be the case. Which was odd to say the least. Okay, so my roommate and his sister lived nearby, and I ended up talking to her about it one time. She actually told me like 3 different versions of events. I'm not sure if these were what she heard from various people, maybe different perspectives or what. Either way, she made it a point to let me know that A was a good person and that the killing was probably an accident if he did actually do it. She would say this while giving me a blow-by-blow of a story where he does kill her. Like, what? I honestly didn't understand her angle. I didn't understand why people in the area didn't do something if they were convinced he was a killer. This one evening she gets a little tipsy and is just yapping up a storm. I was tired and I just wanted to leave and get home before it got dark. To get anywhere near my house I had to go through her yard, which was bordered by these huge woods. Then I had to go down this enclosed little passage with trees and shit blocking anything above me. Basically nothing could see you when you walked down this passage. But I couldn't get away because she just kept talking. And she got weirder too. Started talking about A killing his sister again. She started asking me questions about it. Seemed almost like she was quizzing me and trying to get my opinion on what I thought of him. I think I made an offhand comment saying I thought he was weird and seemed a little messed up. This was basically entirely based on my roommate because I barely knew the guy. She kinda clammed up at this point, so I took it as my exit cue. So I'm heading down this enclosed path. And after about a minute of walking I heard something behind me suddenly. It sounded like a branch snapping or something. I turned around very quickly only to see a tall shadowy figure on the path behind me. And before I can even ask WTF is going on, I hear a voice call out to me, telling me not to worry. It was A's voice. What the hell? Alarm bells were instantly ringing in my head. The way my roommate's sister was just talking about him, quizzing me, clamming up when I said I thought he was evil. There is no way this wasn't some kind of setup. He must have either been listening or been told. I was now shivering and wondering whether to just book it or play it cool. I wondered what would have happened if I didn't hear that branch snap. Would this psycho have just snuck up on me? I decided to turn back around and just keep walking like nothing was up. I knew he'd catch me if I ran. My door was locked, my roommate was asleep, and I wasn't exactly the most athletic. He'd either outrun me completely, I would trip, or he'd catch me while I tried to unlock my door. I heard the steps behind me get faster and closer, and I knew I had to be ready to fight. But A just started walking beside me, Started talking about how today would be his sister's birthday. Nervous.jpg. I just responded back with a half-hearted "oh," to sort of feign interest. In reality, I wished people would stop talking about this shit. But he just kept on talking. I tried to just look forward and keep walking, but he just kept talking. Started telling me how his sister just ran away from home one day and never came back. Sounded like he was trying to convince himself as well as me. I think he was considering whether to kill me or not. Probably based on my reactions. We finally got out of the path, but A made no sign of leaving. Instead of opening the door with my keys, I banged on the door for my roommate to wake up. He came to the door and looked stunned when he saw A. If I'm honest, he looked a little scared too. I went inside and they ended up talking for a while outside. He didn't tell me what was said when he finally came back in. I tried my best to get some sleep last night, but I just couldn't. I was paranoid that A was gonna try and sneak up on me or do who knows what. I mean, WTF was he doing creeping out there anyway? What was that shit all about? Hours passed and it must have been about 6 a.m. when I was finally drifting off to sleep. But I was jolted back away by the sound of cop cars. There were a couple of them and they were whizzing past my roommate's sister's house. This is a rural area and a rural community. Even one cop car up here is strange. More than one. Basically unheard of. By the end of the day there was a lot of talk. Why were the police here? They had found A's sister's body, or what was left of it rather. I imagine just skeletal remains at this point. I have no idea how you even figure out who they are at that point. But yeah, it was about half a mile away and buried under some branches and leaves and dirt. It was buried under an old cemetery in the woods. Not long after they found the remains, the police were looking for A. He was woken up to cops with guns trained on him. My roommate's sister was actually there in bed with him. Which explains why she was acting like such a Fruit Loop when talking about him. According to her, someone had reported the location of his sister's body. I don't know who or how or why. For some reason he either knew about this or had suspicions. That's why he was trailing me that night. He thought it was me since I was a bit of an outsider to the area. That's why I was being quizzed. To see what I knew. I was being set up to be killed by A. I have no idea why he changed his mind on killing me. I have no idea why the stupid bastard went back to his house only to be arrested. I guess he knew the jig was up. I wish I knew who actually turned him in. Who could actually know something like this and keep it quiet for so long? Cause of death was apparently multiple gunshot wounds to the face. Basically the opposite of how my roommate's sister described it being.
Be me. Have sexy roommate. Get out of shower. See naked girl bent over my bed. Any bald pussy looking at me, look away for 5 seconds in a drawer for a condom. Figure is gone. Realize my roommate doesn't have black hair or pale white skin. Ghosts shaved their ghostussies.
Brazil. I was a cop for about 7 years now. In the year of 2011 I was transferred to a city called Guarulhos, in the state of Pernambuco. At the time, the city was already big, with over 100,000 people living there. My job wasn't a chill job by any stretch of the imagination. I had to deal with all kinds of twisted stuff you can think about. Bar fights, shooting, knifings, you name it. Bums using drugs and stealing shit around the town was also a problem. But all of that didn't happen as frequently as you would imagine. Guarulhos was a very peaceful town for its size. Most of the time, we would stay at the police station or be idling somewhere around the town. At that point I already lived with my now wife. The corporation used to send us lunch, either that or they would give us money to buy something to eat. One of my colleagues told me of an old woman that was selling drumsticks of chicken and chicken pies. He told me that they were really good and it was worth buying. So, The next day at lunchtime we looked for the old woman to buy the chicken pies. Soon enough we found her. I ate one of her chicken pies and they were really good. I told the old woman to go through the police station before lunchtime as I knew many of the officers there would absolutely love the pies. She thanked me, and I got back to the vehicle. She started going to the police office to sell some of the pies once or twice a week. By the 15th of March, we received a complaint from the parents of a girl. She had disappeared 2 days ago. She was 20 years old. From what we could gather from the situation, they were from another neighboring town. Apparently, their girl got a job offer as a full-time nanny, in that the client would pay one salary and a half for the job. That was an abnormally high payment for a nanny. They even told their daughter that, but she came to Ghostussy anyway. They had no news of her by that point. As messed up as it was, that was unfortunately all the information we had. They did not have any idea of who hired her or where that nanny job was. We forwarded the case to the investigations department but with little hope that anything would come of it. We had seen that same story play out too many times by now. Parents don't pay attention to their kids' lives and they turn up dead in a forest. She was 20 and an adult, sure, but screw that. I would not let my daughter go out like that if I had a daughter. They registered the case there and went back to their town. In my opinion, having someone disappear is one of the worst cases you can have. Worse than burying someone dear to you because there is no knowing if the person's still out there. All we could do was wait. It wasn't until the 8th of April that we were told that someone had a lead on the case. While the investigation was still ongoing, the victim's credit card was used in a store in the city. The police got in contact with the store and with the camera images they could identify the person who used it. There was a man and a woman at the store. The woman was not identified but the man was. The man was called George and he lived not too far away from the police station. On April 11th, just 3 days later, we got a mandate for searching and apprehension in George's house. We went there. My heart sank when I saw that the old lady who sold us the chicken pies lived there. 3 people were taken to the police station. A 5-year-old child was with them and had to tag along since he had no other family to watch him. George was 50. His wife Isabel was 52. There was also another woman called Jessica. She was just 18. Isabel was the old lady that used to sell chicken pies for us. We decided to interrogate Isabel first as was procedure. She looked to be under a lot of stress. I didn't think she was involved so thought it would be over quick. They actually had found the used credit card in George's stuff. As the interrogator began talking to her, she began to stutter on her words. I was listening to the interrogation but I wasn't at the room. It was a surprise to me when she stopped talking and started to cry. The following sentences were taken straight from the audio file of that interrogation. So, you did see Alexandra Falcao? Yes. Where? On a bus. So you talked to her, but did you know her? Yes, I mean, no. What do you mean? We talked about a job offer. A job offer? Yes, my daughter, she needed a nanny. Daughter? You mean Jessica? No, the little girl. Is she your daughter? Yes, I mean, I take care of her. Is she, or is she not your daughter? She is. So did you get in contact with Alexandra? Yes. After that bus incident? No. How was the credit card there then? She went to our house. Oh, so you did see her later then, okay. Did you do anything to her? No, not me. What? So, was Alexandra harmed in any way there? Yes. What did you do to her? Isabel began to sob, and started shaking. A man went in there and gave her a glass of water. At this point, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. A completely innocent old lady was somehow involved in all of this. However, nothing could prepare me for what I was about to hear. George, he did it. What? What did he do? It made us do it. Is Alexandra dead? Yes. What did you do to her? She was impure. What do you mean by that? We had to do it. Please answer the question. George killed her. Were you present at the time? Yes. Was Jessica present at the time? Yes. Was your 5-year-old daughter present at the time? Yes. How did he do it? He cut her throat. And what did he do with the body? We had to purify her. What happened to the body? We buried part of her in the yard. Part of her? Did you cut her? I didn't, but George did. So he buried her in various parts of the yard? No. We kept it. Kept it, what do you mean by that? We ate it, he said it was the only way to purify. At this point, the interrogator stopped and looked at us outside. He was pale, and sweating a lot. We stopped the interrogation. What followed next was a literal storm. We found out that Jessica's documents were not hers. Jessica was a woman that disappeared in 2008. Coincidentally, she had a daughter of 2 years old at the time. That led us to believe the worst by now. After the interrogation, we found out her real name was Bruna, and that she was involved in all of this. She confessed that they had killed other girls before and that they had consumed their meat. That's all the info she told us before she went quiet. Bruna was very cold and did not display any emotions. She even laughed at us sometimes. George refused to talk. When we mentioned that his wife Isabella told us everything, he said that she was senile. When we mentioned Bruna, he did not answer. They were kept in jail, and the next day, Isabella was interrogated again. This time, the interrogator wanted to know more about what happened and where exactly the bodies were. This time, it was like Isabella was another person. She did not display any emotion whatsoever. This time, a female and a male officer was questioning her. I was once again just outside the room. The 5-year-old was also questioned by a professional, and she described everything to details. So we talked to Bruna. How is she related to you? She is my husband's girlfriend. His girlfriend? Yes. Were you okay with that? Yes. So was Alexandra to be his girlfriend too? No, she was impure. Impure? Yes, impure, George said so. How much meat did you get out of her body? 10 kilograms. So, okay then, how many days did you eat from that meat? About 2. Only 2 days. No, not 2, about 3. 10 kilograms of meat doesn't last only 2 or 3 days, it would have lasted at least 2 weeks. It didn't last 2 weeks because Bruna ate more than me. So she ate a lot then. She was on a diet, but she liked meat a lot. But I like rice more, I don't like meat very much. So it only lasted less because of Bruna and the little girl that liked it. Did she know what the meat was? No, she didn't know. She thought it was just normal meat. So I think it lasted 5 days. And you ate a lot of the meat? No, I don't like meat very much. So, it was all of the others that ate it? Yes, the little one ate a lot of the meat. So, how did she know about the people getting killed? I believe she saw everything, all of the procedures. Okay, so you ate the parts of the girls. Which parts did you eat? Normal pieces, like liver, and normal parts of the body. Did you eat her heart as well? No. Are you sure? Yes. Didn't you feel any remorse for doing all this? Yes. But you still ate either way. You used that meat to make the pies, didn't you? At this time I was selling peanuts. But you were also selling pies at that time, weren't you? Yes, but I was selling peanuts. But Bruna said you used the meat to make the pies. That was a lie, Bruna did not say that. He told her that to make her speak. But these were made for our home. So for you to eat? Yes. And how would you differentiate the ones you would sell from the ones you would eat? Because I was selling peanuts. That's a lie, you were selling pies, I saw you selling pies here. I know I sold to you once, I think. So, you used her meat as filling for the pies, right? Yes, I used it. Okay, and you did the pie? Yes. And sold them? Yes. So why don't you confess then? But I sell peanuts. Yes, you sell peanuts, you sell coconut candy, and you sell pies. And you made the filling with the girl's meat, and made other people eat it. So why don't you just confess? As she remained silent, the female interrogator left the room. The other interrogator then continued. Tell me something, the pies you sold here, they were made with the meat of which one of the girls? On the second. Was it Alexandra? Yes. And where else did you sell those pies? Everywhere, even at the hospital, but it was only that time, the rest was peanuts. And I used only a little of meat, it was more sauce. After I heard that, I went to the bathroom and vomited. I remembered the pieces of meat that there were in the pies. Now I wanted to kill that woman. It was clear for me now, that they were 3 cold-blooded killers. They lured 2 other women and killed them, in the same way. The first one to die was Jessica in 2008. She was living on the streets, and they lured her, killed her, and took her daughter. Then 2 more had died that year. As the population became aware of the case, and the press started reporting on it, the population got angry and burned their house down. All of them refused to go outside, since there was a constant angry mob at the door of the police station. The one person that showed us where the bodies were, was the kid. We had to take the little girl there, and she pointed where in the yard the corpses were buried. An investigation was opened on George and they found a very disturbing thing. George graduated in physical education and was by no means illiterate. He was under license since he was having alleged problems with schizophrenia. They also found one thing, a book, in which he wrote about a lot of things. The book was to be a fictional work, but it seemed like it was not fictional since it described a very disturbing scene. The following texts were taken straight from his book. Notice that he changed their names in the book, Isabel to Belle and Bruna to Christina. We returned to live in Olinda, Pernambuco. With the money we had, we managed to buy a house there. It was a simple neighborhood in the city. Christina had returned to live with us. I made a small living room, and there I had coffee every morning with Belle and Christina. I stopped attending psychiatric clinics and taking my medication. I was happy. But we began to receive visits from a teenager. She was very beautiful but strange. She came mysteriously, played in the yard, and smoked a lot. The days went by. I, Belle, and especially Christina, could not stand the visits of this adolescent anymore. Shadows were with her, sinister laughter was emitted by her, she was the evil itself. As head of the family, I had a duty to destroy her. One day, I took advantage of the fact that the evil teenager was not there, and I planned with Belle and Christina, we planned a way to destroy her. We came up with this: kill her, divide her and bury her. Every part of her must be scattered in a different place. It was a night of heavy rain, lightning and thunder. The evil creature was in a room of the house. I looked at Belle and Christina. That night was the right moment to destroy the evil. I snuck up to the bedroom and could see it through the crack. When I opened the door, it creaked, and before the evil teenager had the chance to react, I immobilized her. Christina also entered the room to help me while Belle ran into the kitchen. She returned later with a knife. The screams of the adolescent evil are muffled by thunder. I took the knife and gave a strong and precise stroke, striking its jugular. The blood sprayed. At the same time, I felt a hot liquid dripping down between my legs, which wet my feet. I realized then that she urinated. She slowly unfolds in my arms. Then I let her fragile, slender body fall. It made a deep sound as it hit the ground. I saw that body on the floor. Christina suspected that she was still alive. I take a rope, make a gallows, and place it on the neck of the body. I drag her myself into the bathroom and turn on the shower for the rest of the blood to flow down the drain. As I look at the already dead body of the evil teenager, I feel relief. I took a sheet and began to remove all of its skin, and soon after, I divided it. Belle and Christina fed on the flesh of evil as if it were a purification ritual. The rest I buried in our backyard, each part in a different place. The police traced this book because in 2011 he tried to publish it as a book named Revelations of a Schizophrenic. At this point, they interrogated George again, and this time, he spoke. "So George, we found your book." "I see. It's really well written." "Thank you." "So, in it, is this girl you mentioned, Jessica?" "Yes, but I didn't do it, I don't remember doing it." "You don't remember, but you did it?" "Yes." "So, this is all real?" "Yes." "How come don't you remember then?" "I have flashes. I never killed anyone, I always respected life." "I see. Then it was as described here?" "The voices, they made me do it." "Voices?" "Yes, from the cartel." "Cartel? As in the drug cartel?" "No, the voices." "So, you did the same to the other two girls?" "I have, but I don't remember. I am speaking the truth." "And why eat their meat? Why chop them in pieces?" "It's the 4 elements and the 5th element. Water and earth are the legs, air and fire that are the arms. And the 5th element, that is God. It's a purification system that the voices tell me." "And what does it have to do with the killing?" "To bury each part, and each part be blessed." "Did you feel any pleasure while doing it?" "No, I felt pain and sadness." "Why did you eat their meat?" "It was a purification system." "Tell me more about the cartel." "They are the voices." "Who are they?" The interrogator stopped there, noticing he wouldn't talk anymore. Other things happened then. It was noticed by the psychological evaluation, that all of them were very cold, and that George wasn't as insane as he wanted to make himself seem. Another search was made in what was left of the house and many candles were found. A notebook was also found. It was Bruna's diary. In it, she detailed all of the murders as well as her everyday life with Isabel and George. She detailed times that George would also disappear for days and then reappear. Some papers written in English were also found in the house. They were handwritten but also burnt, so there was no way of reading more than a few words on it. It was then that George's brother looked for the police, saying he was being threatened by someone. He was offered police protection the next day but he refused. He did not say why. Both Isabel and Bruna were giving mixed answers about the cartel. They said that they either did not know about it or never heard about it. This was definitely a lie. Also, butchering a human being is not an easy task, and we were starting to become suspicious that someone taught him how to do it. In the middle of the investigation we received an order from higher up. The case was to be closed as they had more than enough evidence for a conviction. To me that was bullshit. There was still a lot we didn't know. In the end you can believe in the official story or on my theory. The official story says he is just a crazy psycho. My theory is that there is a kind of cult out there. This cartel thing he talked about, he tried to seem crazy, like he was just hearing voices, but I think he slipped up. We don't know about it and there are people hiding it from us. I don't even think it's a Brazilian thing. I think it runs much deeper than that. Think about how many people disappear around the world every day. It's not a stretch of the imagination thinking that there is something like that out there. Either way, I asked to be transferred soon after.
Beat me in college. Managed to snag 8.5 out of 10 certified hottie. Thought I was the luckiest man alive. GF was really into her jet black cat named Yin. Yin was very protective of his cat mom, but it was not a big deal. GF has to leave town for 3 days for job training exercise. Asks if I can stay at her apartment and cat sit Yin. We lived in separate apartments because my lease doesn't allow pets. Anyway. Agree to watch cat. Spend the first day with Yin and we become brothers. Wake up in the middle of the night on the second night for no reason. See cat bro on the dresser staring at me intently. Cat bro winks at me. Kind of weird, but I wink back and go back to sleep. Third morning, head out for class. Feel a bump as I'm backing my sedan out of the carport. Get out to check. See remains of a black cat smeared under my car. Check remains for ID collar. Screw me, it's my cat bro Yin. Grab a shoebox and scrape remains into it. Late for class after giving cat bro a warrior's burial in the park. I would have informed my GF, but this was back when phone calls cost minutes and long distance was ridiculously expensive. Anyway. GF will be back before class is over. Go get flowers and Hallmark card for GF to break the bad news to her. Arrive at her place and buzz myself in. Offer her flowers and prepare to apologize for killing her cat baby. She sees flowers and smiles. Before I utter a word, I feel a familiar rub against my leg. Look down. See Yin looking up at me. Cat bro winks. Break up with my GF right then and there. No explanation, I just dip the hell out of there. Don't bother to get any of my junk. Delete her phone number and change mine. Never see or hear from her again.
Got this story from this idiot I once knew. This guy was not the type of person to make shit up for attention, and he swore up and down this was true. Idiot is out for a late night walk. Idiot goes out for late night walks all the time, nothing unusual about this one. Then he passes by the local church around 3 a.m. Sees a dark and shadowy figure standing on the sidewalk, right in front of the church doors. The figure is partly transparent and feminine, dressed in the traditional dress of our country, but it's all black, pick-related. He said that the bottom half was normal, but from the hips up the figure split in two. As in, two separate, distinct but identical upper bodies sprouted from its waist. They were of a woman as well. He said that it looked like the two upper bodies were trying to exist in the same space but were physically conflicting. Like when a video game spawns two separate meshes in the exact same place and they glitch out. The phantom just stood there spazzing out and was completely silent save for faint, indecipherable whispering. Idiot said that the whispering seemed to have no source, almost like it was coming from within his own head. Idiot moves to the other side of the street and avoids looking at the figure as he walks past. Did not get a good look at its face, but then and there it looked humanoid. Walks straight home. After that, he feels shook up and just goes to bed. I assume he just wanted to forget about whatever it was that he saw. Idiot goes to sleep. Falls asleep no problem, but has a strange, foreboding dream that night. He said he had the distinctive feeling of popping into the dream as soon as he fell asleep. Wasn't like when falling asleep normally, where you fall asleep and the dream just sort of starts and you're strung along. He felt like this was premeditated, like he was being summoned or something. He finds himself in an averagely sized, featureless room. Murky white walls and evenly lit, despite there being no light source. He is sitting on a chair that looks like one of those cheap, plastic chairs you'd see in a communal area. There are rows of these chairs and Idiot is sitting in the middle of the front row. He looks around the room and his family members, both close and extended family from both sides, are sitting on the chairs. They all seem to be in a daze, hypnotized, staring straight forward at the wall. In front of them is an empty projector, projecting a blank image on the wall in front of them all. Standing next to the projector is the shadowy, feminine figure he saw earlier, but this time it looks different. Dressed in the same attire but all one body now, completely solid and still female. The body looks human, very gaunt, but the figure's head was that of an anglerfish. Its eyes are completely white and it is staring directly at Idiot. Idiot can't explain it, but he just knew it was the same figure he had seen in front of the church. Idiot said he got the strong impression that this figure was the one who summoned him here and that it had control over his family members. Now, Idiot is not one to put up with such behavior, and this next part is exactly how he described it. Idiot is still in the dream. Idiot smiles wide at the figure, inhumanly wide. Then, Idiot projectile vomits a massive stream of vomit directly at the figure. Evil ghost anglerfish woman is covered head to toe in vomit. Idiot said that the figure recoiled in shock, like it did not expect this to happen. Immediately after, Idiot wakes up in his bed. Idiot is fine but absolutely drenched in sweat to the point where the bed sheets were soaked. Idiot never had that dream again. Never saw that anglerfish lady or her shadow form again, either.
My grandfather lived in a small town which was more like a village at the time. The houses were far apart from each other and everything was surrounded by forest. My grandfather was 18 years old at the time and had just had their first child. That child was Lucas, who was my uncle and a newborn of only a few months. Only he, my grandmother and my uncle lived in the house. The house was a building made of old wood and was something my great-grandfather had built. It was abandoned a long time ago. Everything went well on the farm and my grandparents always went to Mass on Sundays. The church was approximately 8 kilometers away. One day, a very beautiful woman dressed in a red dress appeared at Mass. She was a newcomer there and no one seemed to know her at all. She was very beautiful and the priest kept looking at her during Mass. The woman didn't help either because the dress she wore had a huge neckline which was rare at the time. She also sat in the front row right next to the priest. She was obviously attracted to the young priest as well. When Mass was over, people left, but that woman stayed behind. Soon after, the gossip started. They said she was a prostitute from the capital and that she was having an affair with the priest. Gramps didn't care about that gossip. A few weeks passed and the time of the full moon arrived. As any newborn, Lucas cried a lot, especially at night. One night Lucas woke up crying and my grandfather went to take care of him. As he nursed him, he heard the clatter of horse hooves outside the house, near Lucas's room. The noise started to get louder, but as soon as it came it was gone, as if that animal was now leaving. Until then, he had no suspicion that this was anything unusual, as both he and some of the neighbors had animals. So, as soon as Lucas calmed down, he went into the kitchen to get some water. Once there, he saw through the kitchen window a light moving quickly through the undergrowth. It was heading towards the top of the hill of banana trees. A hill completely surrounded by a dense patch of banana trees. He was a little surprised, but there wasn't much he could do. The next day the farm animals were acting strange. He discovered that some chickens, piglets and 2 calves were gone. Grandpa connected the dots and thought that light he had seen the day before was a bandit fleeing through the woods with the animals. A few days later, some neighbors came to talk to my grandfather and told him that some of their farm animals' cubs had also disappeared. He told the neighbors what he had seen that night. The neighborhood then set up a kind of night watchman to watch the farms. It would be a person armed with a shotgun and a machete mounted on a horse who would be patrolling the roads. The neighbors would take turns in that position. The watch began when the full moon ended, and similarly, the robberies stopped. 2 weeks later, the neighborhood calmed down, but the neighborhood decided not to stop with the night watch. As soon as the full moon returned, animal thefts, specifically baby animals, started again. It was a Thursday when my grandfather was on the lookout again. He was on horseback on a dirt road when he saw in the distance the woman in red crossing the road and heading into the undergrowth. He didn't think that was strange. He thought that maybe she lived near. He didn't even notice the fact that the woman was wearing the same red dress as usual. Time passed and the disappearances of animals continued to happen, always at the time of the full moon. The sightings of the woman in red also continued, especially near my grandfather's house. One day, my grandfather was explaining the situation to his wife, and that's when she said he should find a way to follow her because he heard horse footsteps at night every time the baby cried. He said they were louder on nights when the full moon was out. She thought it might be something wanting to take the baby since the baby animals were also being taken. So on a full moon night, armed with a machete, my grandfather hid in the bushes near the road that led to his house. At a certain point the woman appeared and continued walking towards the hill of the banana trees. He followed her stealthily, and since it was a full moon he didn't need any lamps to see. Then they reached the top of the hill, which was a clearing. He watched her through the trees as she walked to the center of the clearing. She started to dig something up and he soon realized it was a machete. She grabbed her hair and lifted her neck, then used the machete in her other hand to rip her own head off. Her body then bent down and she put her head into the hole where the machete was buried and covered it with earth. With that, the body was engulfed in flames and transformed into the body of a huge reddish horse. But where the head should be there were only flames. She neighed and made a terrible noise. Then she began to gallop through the woods. My grandfather was silent until he stopped hearing the noise of hooves and neighs. When he was sure she was far away, he went to the center of the clearing. In the center of the clearing, he dug until he unearthed the woman's head. Her head was bloodied and her eyes were closed. Not knowing what to do, he took out his machete and pierced her head with it. At that moment, he heard a frightening scream. He dropped the head and the machete there and started running. He could hear the gallops and neighs of that thing getting closer and closer to him. The creature was heading towards the clearing. He managed to get home and close the door. As soon as he entered the house, he yelled for his wife to take the child and go to the center of the house. The center of the house had no windows, so they would be hidden. The three of them were silent in the dark. Until around 5:30 in the morning, they started to hear that infernal neigh approaching the house. The creature then came close to the house and started kicking at the door. The fire in its head penetrated through the cracks in the wood as the creature grew more and more desperate. The wood began to catch fire as they prayed that the sun would rise soon. Luckily, the sun rose, and the creature outside went quiet. My grandparents came out the back of the house, which was now on fire. Unfortunately, there was no way for them to stop the fire in time and the house burned down. They couldn't risk doing anything with a baby still in their care in front of the house. There was a large pile of ash where the creature was. This story happened to my grandfather in the 1950s and he recounted it to me.
Watching TV with GF and having drinks. She starts staring up at a corner of the room. That bastard. I hate him. He's watching us. Pointing to the top of a bookshelf. Keeps repeating how she hates that bastard. He's staring at us. Ask her WTF is she talking about. Tells me the Hat Man has come back and she hates him. She's been seeing him her whole life. Start looking up the term, find pic related, read other testimonials. That's him. He's on the bookshelf staring at us. Consult ex-sister-in-law who's into occult shit what to do. Place a mirror facing out in a window, a line of salt at the front door, smudge the house, move the bookshelf. Seems to solve the issue until we're living in a new place. She's done it again twice now. Schizo GF really freaks me out sometimes.
I'll throw my 2 cents in. Pick unrelated. Be born. Mother has postnatal depression, so I am separated from her at birth and live with a nanny. Around this time my father becomes immeasurably depressed. 1 yearish later, my mom and dad take me back. I have a few memories while I was living with a nanny, but no real memories of living with my parents besides a reoccurring nightmare of an ugly man trying to tempt me to open the door by acting kind, but I can sense his evil aura. Always have these nightmares, so often that I feel scared to sleep at night. Only as an adult did I start sleeping with the lights off. After a few years, my parents divorced and I moved to live with my grandparents. No more nightmares. On my weekends, I'd go to my dad's house again for a sleepover. But I can never sleep. I'd be awoken to the sound of something. A knock at the door, a dog barking that sounds like it's right by my second-story window, a clock ticking despite having no analog clock. The nightmares continued whenever I slept at that house as well. In the nightmares, I kept seeing the man, but, ever so slowly, his kind deception, Gifts and pleads stopped as he seemed more threatening. He never enters the house though, just looks through the panes or knocks at the windows or doors. He often just stands and stares, or makes weird hand gestures. Often pointing. I swear I can feel a presence staring at me through my bedroom window or the turned off television screen. Time skip to 18 years old. Move fully into the house. My dad is out much more often than not as he works in different cities. So I'm alone. The first weekend I am alone, I'm oddly comfortable to fall asleep. Until I am awoken as I hear a window break at 3 or 4 a.m. I assume it's just my mind playing tricks on me at first, but my adrenaline is in full gear. I see him. The ghost man. I am awake but he's there outside my house. Staring at me. Look away to grab my phone from my pocket and he's gone when I turn back, but I still feel him there. I feel his presence overwhelmingly. I call the police and tell them to get over here. They don't bother because the burglar is likely gone. I didn't tell him that I saw this man in my dreams obviously. Calm myself down and call a bro over. We sleep next to long swords in case we need to defend ourselves. No trouble until after he leaves. After that, consistent nightmares of the man attacking me. Of him watching and gooning as I choke, of him rewarding me, the feeling of his body heat plagues my mind, weird messed up shit like this. I only feel safe when leaving the house after this point. A year later, I'm cleaning out my room when I see a closet that I've never opened before. It was too high for me to reach and I always assumed it was my dad's private stuff. Decide screw it and open it up. A bunch of late 90s/early 2000s tat mags, vidya, game guides. Then I notice a picture frame at the back. It's a charcoal painting of the man I don't recognize. I ask my dad and he is disinterested, like the thought doesn't enter his mind. Out of character for him to be so dismissive of anything that isn't very personal. I throw most of what my dad doesn't want out but keep forgetting to throw the painting out. It just lies there, in the corner of my room. I can feel it staring at me. Watching me. Yet other times I forget completely of it. Eventually the picture gets moved to the hall, and so does the feeling of dread and being watched. Eventually it clicks, the face is unfamiliar but the presence is. It's the man. I throw the painting out and the nightmares stopped immediately. Sorry for the words, I don't write a lot. But this isn't fiction. If anyone has an explanation I'd love to hear it.
This is a story that happened to me around the year 2000 and it is something I will never forget. It all happened on a 2-week trip that I took with my family. It was winter and we had gone to a house that belonged to my grandparents. The house was in the countryside. It was me, a cousin, my parents, an uncle and an aunt. It was not a big house but the area around it was huge. It was a house in the middle of the woods and there was nothing to do there because of the isolation. The city was far away and there was no houses nearby. The only thing we had was a swimming pool and there was no television. The water was always freezing though. We mostly passed time with the soccer ball we had. My cousin and I were always creative. Whenever we weren't playing with the ball we were making up stories. It did not take long for the ghost stories start. We spent a long time seeing who would get more frightened. This wore off after a while and nothing scared us. Halfway through the trip the adults were sick and tired of staying there all the time too. They decided to go out into the city. My cousin and I did not want to do tourist shit so we stayed in the house. We were 15 and 14 now and so they didn't think twice about leaving us. They decided we could fend for ourselves. When night fell they left and we stayed there playing cards. Time went by and the temperature dropped. A strong mist settled in the area. However, the fog was so intense that you could not see anything more than 20 yards away from the house. I made a comment about the fog. I was like, yeah, it's in a mist like that where the devil appears. Soon, my cousin forgot the cards and went to the window and began to nag me. He dared me to go outside. I was like, no way I'm going outside in this cold. The conversation was more or less this for the next half an hour. Him daring me to leave and me refusing. Until he said, "Dude, I think I saw something out there." I did not even look at him, but he insisted. "Dude, seriously, I saw something out there. Dude, piss off, you've been making this up for about 4 straight days, why do you think I would believe it now?" Then I looked into his face and he looked legit confused. I asked what the hell that face was for. "I'm serious, man, I saw something out there." Then I started to get that feeling that it was more serious than it looked. My first reaction was to run through the house and lock all the doors and windows. When I locked the kitchen door, he yelled out of the room saying he had seen it again. I ran upstairs and went to the window to see if I could see anything too. My cousin was scared and explained that he had already seen something out there 4 times. He was pointing out where he had seen it. But there was not much to see in the fog and the only light outside the balcony wasn't working. We stared at the windows of the house for another 10 minutes without seeing anything else. Suddenly he screams at me and I rush off to see what it was. I find him desperately pointing outside. "There. There. I'm seeing it now. Look there." I look at what he was pointing and there is a ball. "You idiot, that's our soccer ball." I know it's the ball, but it was not there. It rolled over there in the fog. Then I started to think what it could be and I thought that we needed to calm down and think rationally for a bit. I told him, "Look, it probably was some animal, dog, cat, wild pig. It must be playing with the ball." He stopped and thought for a bit. I do not know if he believed it or if he just wanted to believe it. "That's right, it must be some dog, right?" As we both accepted it, we calmed down a bit and started making fun of each other. We started joking saying it's the devil that is out there, it will catch you. It is the creature that will pull your foot tonight, and with that we calmed down a lot. That's when I thought about the ball. I think we should get the ball. If it's a dog it's probably going to disappear with it and it's one of the only things we have to do here, so we'll be bored without it. He looked at me with a smile that went from ear to ear and said I should go get it then. I kept looking back and forth between him and the ball. I looked out the window and did not see anything. "Fine, I'll go. You can sit your ass there and keep whimpering from the window." I opened the door and left. I walked up to the ball while looking left and right frantically. In that moment I felt cold creep up my spine. I got the ball, picked it up, and when I turned back towards the house I heard some kind of hissing. When I looked in the direction of the noise I saw something that seemed to be down on all 4s. I thought it was a stupid cat or dog and cursed it out. When I was about to turn around to leave, it stood on the 2 rear paws and looked at me directly. I then realized that it was way bigger than a cat. It was almost the size of a person. It bowed a little as if it was going to jump on me and made a strange sound. I threw the ball with everything I had at it and ran as fast as I could into the house. As I was halfway there I started to hear it running behind me. It seemed like there were 2 more of these things coming from the sides too. I went running into the house without looking back, and slammed the door shut behind me. Suddenly I heard 3 loud bangs on the door as if something had smacked it hard. I locked the door and went into the other corner of the room. I looked to my cousin and asked WTF just banged on the door. That all he saw was me jumping inside and that he didn't get a good look. He looked out the window, screamed and jumped away from the window. As he did so, we ran into the bedroom, locked the door and stood away from the windows, which were already closed. He asked me WTF that thing was. I looked at his face and I could not speak. The rest of the night we were quiet. We kept hearing weird noises outside, like grave dog whimpers. He did not say anything else, nor did I. When the adults came home we were still awake. The next day we did not say anything to them. When I went outside the other day I saw the withered ball on the other side of the house. When I got it, it was all torn and stinking a lot. It smelled like the flesh of a dead animal. I showed the ball to my cousin. He asked what had happened to me out there the night before, and I told him. So I asked what he saw in the window after I walked in. He said that he saw two things in front of the door. They were bipedal and had pale messed up faces. The third one was already turning the corner of the house going to the side. Of those who had stayed in front of the door, one was trying to push the door and the other looked at him from the window and bared its teeth. Its eyes were like black slimy balls in its face. They were all crooked and they looked rotten. That thing looked like a small man but with a slightly disproportionate head to the body. The head was a little larger and it was brown. After he saw them, he yelled and jumped back from the window. We did not talk to anyone about what had happened because we knew that no one would believe it. The ball I threw in the woods later, I never saw it again. The rest of the trip we did not get too far from of our parents, and whenever it was getting dark we went in. After we left, I never wanted to go back there. The other nights we did not see anything outside. To this day I have no idea what that thing was.
OC here. Be me. Tired as hell at my place, middle of day. Only window of my apartment is shut, curtains drawn. Eternal night. Move. Decide to go take a nap because naps are my cure-all thing. Since it feels like it's been days since I've seen sunlight, I'm in that perma-tired. Okay, whatever, never mind mode. Lay naked on bed, fall asleep. Sleep is disturbed and disturbing, hear voices around me, multiple people whispering, objects being moved from one place to another, etc. Worth noting that I am very prone to these sort of experiences because I have a condition where my eyes are always slightly open during sleep, so my brain also takes in information about my surroundings. Used to sleep paralysis and sleep limbo of the likes, usually gets me awful sleep where reality mixes with dream. Twist and turn in bed, wake up around 2 to 3 hours later, drenched in sweat, but the air around me feels very cold. Get up and check out kitchen to see if there is anything edible that does not require cooking. Feeling cold as hell. When I get back out of the kitchen, I realize something. The entrance corridor is visible from the kitchen. Front door is open. Most likely forgot to close it. It's a shitty rusty door that has a hard time closing itself sometimes. Think nothing of it. Actually, it's not even the first time I realize I've spent a good amount of time inside with the front door of the apartment not properly closed. Realize the voices and presence I felt earlier actually can be explained by the fact my front door was open. Check floor, see dirt footprints nearby bed. I live in a 30 square meters apartment in Paris, ground floor, basically configured like one big room where I live / sleep / everything else accessible by a corridor that leads to entrance, kitchen, bathroom. MFW, I always take off my shoes in entrance. MFW, strangers probably walked in and watched me sleep. Exact same scenario repeats once this year. FML, am I an idiot? More stories from the Rue du Soleil inbound.
Had a nightmare last night about having nightmares. In unfamiliar bed. Fall asleep. Dream guide I assume told me when you see him, do not interact with him. Dream that I'm in a desert. Trenches, tents, and barbed wire everywhere. Featureless man appears, no face, no clothes, no genitals, nothing, just a vaguely human-shaped blob. He emanated palpable sadness and guilt. Hug him. Suddenly the scenery changes. Skinless people everywhere, missing limbs, being tortured by the scenery, barbed wire curling around them, etc. Everything splattered in viscera. Tents were tattered. Gas saturated the area. Sky was red and smoggy. Bombs and gunfire going off in the distance. Wake up from that nightmare. Still dreaming. Go on to have 6 more nightmares before waking up. Felt like being in hell. Can't recall the details well enough to post.
Be me. Driving home from cousin's place with dad on Memorial Day of 2022. On highway See what looks like pick-related be catapulted over a mountain in the distance. It does not fall when it should. It just keeps going at the same speed and passes over us. Weird feeling comes over me. Ask Dad if he saw it. He is clenching the steering wheel tightly and tells me to STFU. Look at clock. 2 hours have passed. WTF.jpg. Check phone. It's right. Forget about incident for a year. Bring it up with Dad again. He confirms he remembers and is visibly shaken talking about it.
Be me. Walking home at 1 a.m. from a family meeting. Dimly lit street, only a few flickering lamps. Headphones in, listening to a remix of Viva La Vida. Alone, so I take the liberty of busting some sick moves. Around the for some reason, I can't explain part, I look up. Notice the lighting lamp above me is flickering hard, like it is about to explode. Suddenly the entire alley goes dark. No lamp is lit and the only light I can see is coming from an upper window on the block on my right. Up ahead I felt movement, it's synchronizing with the song. Pause the music, movement stops. Resume the music, movement begins again. Only 5 minutes until my neighborhood first on left I resume my dance in the pitch dark. Remix has an extended beat towards the end of the song, movement ahead increases. Eventually I reach the entrance to my neighborhood, felt amazing and quite happy. Then I reflect on what just happened. The lights came back and the street behind looked undisturbed. Is this music magic? Does the unknown actively listen to us grooving? I wasn't on drugs or drunk, nor was there an energy shortage at that hour. Whatever heard my headphones decided to tag along with me until my neighborhood, no spooky ending.
Be 8 years old. Have only one eye. In 4 how? It's boring story. Terrified of witches and aliens, have vivid nightmares about it. One night having nightmare. Know him having one trying to escape the witch. Come on, just open your eyes and wake up. I can't open eyes, feels sealed shut. I used to get this build up on fake eye so bad it would crust over, eventually wake up, pull my eyes open with hands, get crap out of eyes. Another time having bad dream like someone attacking me, some weird cartoon like thing slapping my back. Wake up, back hurts, red marks all over. Another time I'm trying to fall asleep, terrified the witch or aliens going to get me. Super into magic thinking, imagine a force field around my body, long as I keep this up they can't get me. Pretty sure I see alien in hallway. Red alert, raise child's number 1.jpg. I dunno, I was just a scared kid, prob nothing spooky, but figured it'd try. Anki half remembered this shit after reading other stories.
Be me, 21, broke, still ride the subway like a moron. Go to some punk show in the absolute worst part of the city. Leave venue around midnight, ears ringing and half drunk on warm beer. Friend offers to split an Uber. Tell him, nah bro, I'm built different, public transit never killed anyone, I can catch the last train. He just looks at me and says something about how it's my ass. Whatever. PNG. Start the walk, instantly regret life choices. 3 blocks in, classic Schizo in a haggard jacket appears from nowhere. No shoes, feet black, muttering something indecipherable. Starts walking exactly my pace, 20 feet behind. Speed up. He speeds up. Nonsensical muttering getting louder now, almost into a full yell. Turn around to tell him to piss off. He's holding a rusty box cutter now, smiling like he just won the lottery. Nope.exe. Full sprint, lungs on fire, dodging broken glass and used needles. See a subway entrance I've never noticed before, faded sign says X Street. Don't even think, just dive down the stairs 3 at a time. Platform is dead silent, flickering fluorescent lights, smells like wet pennies. No one here. Hope and pray Schizo man doesn't find me. Train screeches in, perfect timing. Doors slide open, step inside. Car is old as hell, those 70s silver ones with the orange seats, all slashed up. Only one other passenger, old black dude in the corner, big gray beard, wearing a heavy black coat. Even though it's summer. Face completely in shadow, just sitting there, hands in lap. Doors close, train lurches forward. Sit as far away as possible. Train immediately starts going way faster than it should, like we're on an express to hell. No stops, no announcements, no lights in the tunnel. Just black void outside the windows. 10 minutes in, realize the graffiti on the walls isn't normal and is actually all the same date, November 14, 1984. Every tag, every scratch, same day. Start sweating bullets. Look over at the old man. He hasn't moved once. Try to say something, voice cracks like a 12-year-old. Hey man. You know what line this is? He says nothing, doesn't even glance at me. Turn back to sit in my seat. 20 minutes of this I legitimately start freaking out, ask old man if he has any idea what the hell is going on. He slowly turns his head this time. Where his eyes should be it's just smooth skin. No sockets, no nothing, it's like it's been cauterized with something hot. Mouth opens, but it's too wide, just keeps opening. Panic.jpg. Mash the emergency strip, slam every button. Train doesn't slow down, actually speeds up. Lights inside start flickering. Every time they flicker off I swear there's more people in the car. Flicker on, empty. Flicker off, dozens of them standing, all facing me, no eyes. On off, getting closer each time. Start screaming like a bitch. Suddenly blinding white light floods everything. Train screeches like a dying animal, throws me into the seats. Doors open, scramble out and fall out onto grass. Middle of nowhere, sunrise, birds chirping. Train is idling on tracks that cut straight through an empty field. Look back. Every single window is packed with those blank faces pressed against the glass. Old man is standing in the doorway now. He raises one hand, slow wave. Doors close. Train takes off into the horizon and just vanishes. Like it was never there. Tracks end 50 feet later, rusted and overgrown. Check phone, 6:03 a.m. I've somehow lost maybe 8 hours. Been on the train maybe 15 minutes real time, but my battery drained from 87% to 3%. Walk 2 miles until I hit a road. Uber home, don't say a word to the driver. Later that day Google X Street Station. Closed November 14, 1984. Train derailed that night, killed 47 people. They never recovered all the bodies. It was more profitable to close the station than to rebuild it. Sealed the whole station with the trashed cars still inside. Go to the same location the next day. Sure enough, the stop is completely boarded up, zero signs of life, can't even get down there now. The moral of the story is take an Uber.
I have seen demons before. Be 12 years old. Dad is a spurg and likes searching through abandoned, decrepit buildings to look for shit to sell. One day he comes home and tells us he explored a burnt down office building. He only returned with one item, a binder full of clippings of hair and wedding rings. Me and my sister are like, WTF, that's some weird shit, but okay dad. Couple days later, I'm sleeping on the couch because my room used to scare me, and I had heard whispering from somewhere in it. Laying face up, and my eyes snap open. Can't move my body at all, only my eyes, typical sleep paralysis. Look at the clock and it's 3:30 a.m. Look at the foot of the couch and this is what I see. 8 foot tall, red-faced with black markings entity. Wearing a robe and a hood. Just staring directly into my eyes with his pitch black ones. Feel absolute genuine horror, can't look away. Try to scream as hard as I can to avail. This lasted about 20 or so minutes, after which he left and I lay wide awake with a light on. Family thinks I made it up. My pastor tells me it's the devil coming for soul. Constantly terrified until we moved. Second story. Fast forward until I'm 21, got my first apartment. Immediately feels weird for some reason, but whatever. On the third day there, I heard a clang come from the kitchen. Look around, Teresa random fork on the floor. I had a few forks in the drying rack. Whatever weird shit. Things are little quiet, bedroom door keeps opening and closing slowly and randomly, no rhyme or reason. Have seen knives and Tupperware on the kitchen floor. One night I'm sleeping, 3 a.m. again, heard the loudest thud come from the hall. Investigate and see a high metal kitchen table laying on its back in a very weird position from where it was. Alright bastard, now I'm a little freaked out. Another night after, sleeping, wake up not sure what time and, oh shit, it's sleep paralysis again. I don't see anything but it's freezing and I feel that sense of dread. Feel a slight touch on my foot, slowly moving towards my ankle. Another hand touches the next foot. I'm being dragged slowly by my ankles towards the foot of the bed. Trying my hardest to scream or move. Legs are dangling off the bed by now. Finally somehow get the power to scream Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior a few times. Hands release, I can move again. Screw that shit, but I can't move and I don't know an exorcist. Things a chill for a bit after that. One night my GF, who has witnessed the untensile thing and the door, me and her were watching a horror movie. After it was over we sat in the dark just talking. She stopped suddenly at one point. She says I just felt like a wind or breath on my chest and looks genuinely terrified. We both go completely silent and the air in the room is frigid. Total dread. In my dark closet I see a pale face with black eyes staring at me before disappearing. We're both completely still and silent until we heard an audible breath and she felt it again on her face. Both run the hell out of there. She gets her Catholic grandma to bless the apartment the next day. Air instantly feels less suffocating, nothing happens again.